Hey guys, Ash here coming at you today, Racial Legends. Welcome to the video. Sending some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. Guys, it's gonna be a big one today. Feel free to put me on to go to sleep to. Put me on as a podcast, or you can just simply navigate vis-a-vis the timestamps, chapter by chapter. We're gonna break down every single faction for your convenience. That way you can drop off and pick up later on if you so choose to, or navigate towards your favorite faction. You can do that as well. But either way, sit back, relax. Especially if you're gonna be with me through the long haul, grab your favorite beverage, I still haven't quit the damn monsters. I keep trying, but I can't. It's so pathetic, but I'm hooked on these damn things. Anyway, grab your favorite snack, your favorite beverage. Hopefully it's a water and not like me, an energy drink, and relax and enjoy the show. So I've maxed a lot, almost every legendary champion in the game. I play tested and I've done guides on almost every single legendary in the game. That being said, these are just my opinions, so take it for what it is, right? My experience based on my opinions based on my experience on my account. Your opinions may differ, and I would invite you guys, if you disagree with my grade on every single champion, because we're going to do a quick review, and we're also going to give every champion a letter grade as well. But, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. A brand new account might take a champion like Siegfried, for example, and it might be, or Siegmund, excuse me. Siegfried would be a beast mode. But Siegmund, they might really enjoy him, and he might be key to your progression. So it depends on when you pull these champions. It also depends on who else you have on your account and what you're trying to tackle and where you naturally gravitate towards in the game. All right, with all that said, let's start with the Banner Lords. Here we go with Lord Champfort. Lord Champfort is an OG champion in the game. I don't love this guy. He's not awful, but he does have HP in dungeons by 50% on that aura. He has a decreased accuracy, decreased attack on an AoE, but he has that shield and the decreased speed on his passive. I think the passive is the best part of his kit, especially in areas like Iron Twins with that decreased speed, or in Scarab King with the shield. That being said, he hasn't aged that well. He's not trash, but he's not that great. I'm going to go ahead and give him a C. Sathalia. She has a burn on the A1. She has a little support ability on the A2, 2-turn cooldown, which is nice. And then she has Aggress, which is the highlight of her kit. She's removing buffs, decreasing turn meter as well. I think that she's okay. She used to be better than she is now. It's not a bad move, though. Aggress can be very powerful. But at the end of the day, I think she's a, I don't know, a B- champion. Killian the Lucky. Man, the luck of the Irish. I like Killian. He's a really cool champion. I actually think he's a little bit underrated. Most people would give him a C or a D. He's got a decreased speed on the A1 and AoE block active skills on the A2, and a 2-turn stun on that head ringer ability that actually can smack. He's got the Charmed Life where he's putting buffs on himself. I think he's a very interesting, albeit a niche and non-meta champion. I'm going to go ahead and for that lockout alone, I like it. A lot of control in his kit. I'm going to go ahead and give him a C+. Sigmund of the High Shield. Well, we just alluded to him earlier. He's interesting. He's got an AoE provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. The bummer is, though, it is each hit, so it's a pretty dependable provoke, but it's only a 75% chance. I don't really love that from a legendary champion. He has a shield and is strengthened on the A3. Not bad support. Kind of a nifty A1. Not a bad a passive as well. That all being said, I'm going to give him a B-. All right, we have Ronda Rousey, the event champion. Man, back in the day. It feels like that's crazy that it's been 4 years. 2022 to 2023. Holy crap. Well, 3 or 4 years. It's a big range. She was only a loyalty for a few days. I don't know. Anyway, Ronda's actually really good. She's very unique. She's got a block passive skills that can't be resisted. That's very powerful, very underrated. She can join an attack. She's got a triple hitter on the A1, good for Fire Knight. I'm going to give Ronda a B. Black Knight. Black Knight has the Last Breath, which doesn't do anything. And then he has a continuous heal and an increased defense on a 2-turn cooldown. Pretty cool. Good, unkillable. He's tough to kill because of that Valorous passive as well. That being said, from a legendary champion, we're looking for a little bit more nowadays than an increased defense and a continuous heal. Even though it's a 2-turn cooldown, it's just not that special anymore. We're going to go ahead and give Black Knight a C. Not bad, but just so dated. Stalktus Dragonbane, man, such a cool champion, very underrated, very good, defense-based. He brings his own increased defense, too, which we love to see from a defense-based damage dealer, right? He can deal some decent damage. He's got an AoE stun, good control there. He also has a decreased turn meter on the A1, but the highlight of his kit is actually his passive. He has a chance well, anytime an enemy or anybody tries to put a weaken, decreased defense, or a poison on him, he reflects them back on the attacker. That makes him the best dragon champion in the game, or at least one of the best dragon champions in the game. All those poisons go right back onto the dragon, or anywhere that you encounter poison. It's kind of a cool champion overall. I'm going to go ahead and give him an A-. Manaya. Manaya is a... man, I want to like Manaya. Manaya got a buff last year in 2025. But that all being said, she's okay. She's got a 4-turn cooldown when booked with a heal and block debuffs. Not a bad move. And then she has a 3-turn cooldown with a heal reduction, and a leech on enemies. She is Kornar's companion champion. Honestly, with Manaya, she has speed in all battles. She's got a kind of a cool passive as well, but just not enough there, and I don't like the cooldown on the A3. It's a shame that she got a buff, and I'm still going to give beauty to the Beauty and the Beast. I'm still going to give Manaya, unfortunately, a C-. Not a huge fan. Hillier looks freaking cool, and honestly, his kit reads really cool. He's got an AoE shield. He's got a transfer debuffs. But honestly, when you put it all together on Hillier, extremely disappointing, unfortunately, for a champion. I'm going to give him a C+. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should say a little bit more about him, but just like not a lot of damage. The shield isn't that great. The shield is predicated on it being a lot of damage, and then you just got like a debuff transfer, you know? I don't know. Maybe a D on Hillier. It's such a shame. He looks so cool, man. He looks so cool. I had high hopes for him. Timid the Fool. Timid the Fool is the companion champion to Kaja the Rai, who we'll talk about in a moment. He's really cool. He's got a AoE, decreased duration of enemy buffs by 3 turns. And if there are no enemies with active buffs, he gets an extra turn where he can go in with the Kegs of Dread, which hits harder than his A2, another AoE. He brings an increased accuracy on everybody and a true fear on all enemies. Honestly, you could do a lot worse. Polymorph proof with the A2. Not as big of a deal as it was upon his release, but he's a good little champion. I'm going to go ahead and give him a B. Rathalos Blade Master. Man, Rathalos is an absolute beast. He is part of was part of the Monster Hunter event, and I can't believe that was 2 years ago. It's insane to me. I'm sure you OGs out there can feel probably the same way. That's nuts. Honestly, he has a very, very good kit, mainly a PvE champion, but he can deal a lot of damage, right? He brings his own increased crit damage and an increased speed, which is nice to have on a 3-turn cooldown. But this Spirit Step / ability, every second use of the skill in a round will attack all enemies instead. If the target's a boss, ignore 100% of the target's defense. That can absolutely smack. We're going to go ahead and give Rathalos an A-. Chronicler Adolin. She was a free login champion. She's got restored HP with a heal. She's got a sleep single target, decreased speed, decreased attack, ignores block debuffs, which is kind of a new thing in the game, like AKA every champion has it, which really negates block debuffs to a big extent. Is pretty crazy. I've never been a huge fan of Chronicler Adolin. I think there's better options for Sand Devil. She's still usable for sure, but I'm just not a big fan. I'm going to give her a D. She's like a decent epic, maybe a mediocre epic healer is her profile to me. Edward Kenway, one of the newer-ish champions at the time of this recording, part of the Assassin's Creed collaboration, which is still going on at the time of this recording. He's got an ignore stone skin ability as well as block damage. He's got perfect veil. He's got a block revive on this same move between the eyes. Is a nasty move. He's got an AoE where he's stealing all buffs from enemies. Can't be resisted if he's under the veil or perfect veil. There's a lot more to him as well. He's got ensnare all over his kit. He's really good, and you can tell he's a newer champion because he's going to have the highest score so far. I'm going to give Edward Kenway an A. Maybe a little bit niche, given that, you know, he's a kind of an arena champion, right? But what a move. Maybe even an A+ on this guy. Honestly, he's very good. Edward Kenway. Lugan the Steadfast. The Bumblebee, man. The Bumblebee Lugan. He used to be a guy that I actually appreciated, but like Lord Champ 4, maybe a little bit of power creep. He actually got a buff a couple years ago, and it was a good one. It was a good one. Anyway, he has a block active skills on an AoE. I love that. It is a 4-turn cooldown. He has the increased defense and ally protection, which is a good combo for support, especially a good combo for progression. He has a heal on all allies on his A1, as well as a shield on himself. Honestly, not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and give him a B-. Septimus. Septimus has been power crept to the nth degree, man. He's got a single hitter on his A1. Extra turn and grants the cooldown of the champion's Holy Sword skill if he kills a target with his A1, which is certainly unique. Only problem is, Holy Sword is a 4-turn cooldown. It does ignore block damage and shield. You don't see him going against champions in the arena, though, so that's where we really sought after abilities to ignore block damage, right? It's an enemy max HP ability, which is capped, but it's only a single hit, right? We're looking for the Newts of the world who can deliver 3 enemy max HP blows in 1 strike. He's been power crept. You know, he still has some utility. I have him in a destroy set against Scarab King, for an example, you know, but honestly, he needs a big buff. He's a huge candidate for a buff, and I would predict that Septimus will get a buff by the end of 2026. Until then, we're going to give him a big fat D. Richtoth the Bold, AoE on the A1. He's got Bloodletting, which is 3 poisons on all enemies, which is really good, even though it's a single target move. It's really good to set up an Eleanoril or a Poison Combustor or, you know, whoever you're, Ezio, for example, right? Good alongside Poison Activators, Xaviers of the world. Other than that, though, not doing very much other than maybe a stun set on the A1. We're going to go ahead and give him a C-. Kaja, the Rye. Kaja is Timot's companion. She's nice and fast, 112. She's got a revive on her A2. Always messes me up. I'm like, wait. She's like the only champion that has a revive on the A2, and then her support abilities on the A3. She has turn meter fill. She's a good turn meter booster. I don't think she's the best in the game, but getting a turn meter fill of 20% with a block debuffs on all allies is really nice. The problem is, it's a 1-turn block debuffs. A 1-turn block debuffs on a legendary champion. I don't really care for that. That being said, solid revive, 50% turn meter and HP. Great companion synergy with Timot the Fool as well. And she has speed in all battles by 19%. We're going to give Kaja the Rye a B+. Aeslin the Stalwart is the Unity champion of the Banner Lords. Every faction has them, and Aeslin is actually really good. I feel like he fits the Banner Lords very well. He has all kinds of shield synergy, all kinds of support in his kit, block damage on this champion, buffs placed by this champion can't be removed when he's on the team. He's on the same faction as a Taurus and Marichka, which definitely helps him in a big way. I'm going to go ahead and give Aeslin an A-. He's not the most powerful of the unities, but he's not bad at all. Michelangelo, part of the Ninja Turtles collab, of course. He's really freaking good. He's one of the better free champions that we've gotten in the game ever. He's certainly unique. He's got evasion. He's got shields. Really nice. He brings his own increased attack on his A1. He's got taunt, an attack-based champion with taunt. What? But it does come in handy quite a lot. He has good survivability for a very squishy attack-based champion. He has nice damage as well. And of course, great synergy with the rest of the Ninja Turtles. This guy, whether it's Phantom Shogun Grove because of his taunt ability, or just, you know, a damage dealer and support with the debuff spread, with the decreased defense, with the stun as well. He brings a lot of everything to the table, or maybe a little bit of everything, but he is a very capable champion who can help out almost every account, whether you're a beginner or mid-game or even late-game player, especially in restrictive content. So Mikey, I'm actually going to give an A- to. Raglan got an absolutely massive buff. She has one of the best, not one of, she has the best single target revive in all of Raid Shadow Legends. 100% turn meter, 75% HP, decrease the cooldown of all the revived ally skills by 3 turns on a 2-turn MFing cooldown. Holy smokes. But it gets so much better. She's immune to block active skills and cooldown increasing effects. She's got a cleanse, an increased accuracy, and an increased attack, and a heal. And they changed it to be based on her HP and her attack. So freaking good now. Triple hitter with turn meter fill on her A1. The knock on her, she doesn't have turn meter fill. She does have turn meter fill, but it is on her A1. It'd be really nice to have it on her A2, of course. and her A2 is a 4-turn cooldown. So there are like moderate downsides to Raglan that prevents her from being, or like defining the meta, I would say, right? That being said, she's extremely good, very unique in her own way. She lacks some of the other things that Revivers have, but she has a lot of unique stuff too. We're gonna go ahead and give her an A+. I will have S as my top rating, but I'm going to reserve that for the very, very, very best legendaries in the game. We have Baron. He also got an actual rework about 2 or 3 years ago. Skypiercer used to be a hidden ability, a secret skill. And in every single one of his moves used to have a chance to unlock it. It was stupid. But it used to have 100% ignore defense. Now they just made it a regular ability, but it's one of the hardest hitting attack-based abilities in the game. It has 50% built-in ignore defense, ignore block damage, and ignore shield. I think he could be he's not meta in the arena, but he could be a sneaky meta pick, especially with Mercurial sets if you can keep him alive, or you can just, put him in Stone Skin and allow him to just get to a Sky Piercer, and usually you can delete with it. He also has excess surplus damage rather on his trample ability, which fits the name of the skill very well. So you can use him, especially against squishier content. You can just use him with the A1 to speed farm, right? Against wave content with that surplus damage because it does hit hard. All that being said, he's not a meta champion, no like survivability built in or anything like that, but he's still good. We're gonna go ahead and give him a B+. Taurus the Fierce. Really, Taurus ushered in this new era of HP-based baddies, like massive HP-based damage dealers who are very, very difficult to kill. Now there's quite a few of them in the game. Taurus was really the first, or at least one of the first champions in that category. He's Marichka's companion champion. His A2 smacks with a 2-turn stun. You usually just kill him though. Constant pressure gets more damage for every buff on him. He's so tough to kill. He's so incredibly tanky. We're gonna give Taurus an A+. Marichka the Unbreakable. One of the best heals in the game, a protected strengthen, extra turn potential on the A3, a cleanse, a turn meter boost, speed in arena battle, or in all battles, excuse me. And then giving all, one of the most unique and powerful passives in the game, not just for reviving everybody on the team when she dies, and then you can pick her right back up and you have to do it all over again, right? But also that block damage. She's the best counter against bomb champions, poison champions, and burn champions anywhere in the game. She is our first, ladies and gentlemen, S-tier champion, and it's not even close. She's one of, if not the strongest legendary supports in the entire game. Next is Quintus the Triumphant, live arena champion. You get him by playing the live arena, and listen, he's weird for a live arena champion because honestly, I find him to hit pretty hard and be pretty effective in PvE content as a damage dealer, but not really in PvP content. That being said, he's pretty one-dimensional. He's a damage dealer, right? He does have some buff removal, decreased defense, single target. I think he's good, but not great. We'll give him a B-. Titus Black Plume, is obviously a previous Fusion champion, and he's a beast. However, the knock on Titus is he has a difficult setup. To really get the most out of Titus, Student of War, I mean, you have to have that Wixwell, right? You have to have that Grow Shield ability. You have to have all the stars align. A little hyperbolic here, but you guys know what I'm saying. So it's weird because in one way, he's the strongest champion in the game, right? In PvE. But in another way, he can be difficult for your average player to pick up and really utilize. So we're going to give him an A+. I think that's a proper grade for Titus. Maybe S, But I think A+ is good because of the difficulty of setup and because he's a PvE-only champion. I really want all-around beasts like Marichka to get those S tiers, but I'm splitting hairs here. If you can set up Titus, if you do have all the components and you have him, for PvE, he is S tier in that situation, right? Cecilia, the Red Hope, the last of the Bannerlord champions, and one of the newer ones, very, very good. She has an enemy max HP ability on a 3-turn cooldown, perfect veil on everybody. One of the only legendaries to have a perfect veil for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. One of the most powerful buffs in the game, and Perfect Veil can be extended by Lasting Gifts, a mastery as well. She also brings an increased defense, a strengthen, and a counterattack on all allies on a 3-turn cooldown, 2-turn duration. I mean, that's insane. She has Revive on Death when an ally. She has a good passive as well. I'll be here all day reading her kit. She's an A+, A+. All right, not too bad. Let's move on to High Elves, guys. We have Eleanor O. Eleanor. She's a very, very unique champion. She's got an irresistible burn on her A1 ability. Can't be resisted 100%. It's one of the best burns low-key in the game. On her A2, she's placing poisons. On her A3, she's activating all those poisons, right? What she does it beautifully. You know, she is somewhat niche, but very, very good. We're going to go ahead and give her an A-. Pixneal's gotten like 15 buffs. She was the biggest joke of Raid Shadow Legends, and honestly, these books, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, look at this. 7 books of damage, or 7 levels, 6 books of damage on the A1 on a support champion. I mean, that's a troll. That's a troll. That being said, if you can look past the books, which is hard to do, but if we can, not a bad kit anymore. Perfect Veil on an ally with lowest HP on the A1. She has an increased defense, continuous heal, weaken on enemies, under freeze on her A2, and then she has an AoE freeze on a 4-turn cooldown, and pretty nice passive as well, all about freeze mitigation and taking advantage of freeze. So, if we factor in the books, look at the A3's books, man. She's tough to grade. I'm going to go ahead and give her a B-. She's really not trash like she used to be, but it's hard to actually recommend people go out there and invest in her unless you're really struggling, you know, with CC in niche areas of the game. Alexander the Sharpshooter, another joke of Raid Shadow Legends. He is actually based on a Navi, I don't freaking know, about an esports dude. His name is Simple in real life. Alexander the Sharpshooter in the game. He's an AoE decreased defense champion with buff removal on a single target that hits decently hard. He's unfortunately a D champion because you can find this from like hundreds of epic champions, you know, maybe a little exaggeration, but he really is a mediocre epic, or like a semi-useful epic if you're looking for an AoE decreased defense champion. So we're going to give him a D. Certainly not legendary-like. Strategos, excuse me, Islin. I always think of the game Stratego when I think of him. I always want to say it. I've been playing that with my kiddo lately, and it's been a lot of fun. He's very annoying in a lot of situations. He's annoying in the arena as a niche pick, too. He has a decreased speed on an AoE, excuse me, on a 3-turn cooldown, decreased duration of enemy buffs as well, ally protection, increased defense, counterattack on himself, which leads to provokes, and that chance goes up when he's counterattacking, and then he heals himself for every 500 defense he has, and so he's very tough to kill, and he's very good at supporting allies. He's a niche pick, he's not meta, but I think he's actually really good. We're going to give him a B+. Fina, Blade of Avaria. Well, Fina is the unity of the High Elves, and unlike Aislinn, she is one of the best, well, no shots at Aislinn, but she's one of the best unities. She's one of the only unities that's made her way into meta. You know, there's a few of them. We'll go over them all, obviously, in today's video. But she's very unique. She's very powerful. She brings all these buffs with an extra turn. If you have one ally on the team, they can be protected as well. If you can get the lead from the front passive fully activated, allies will ignore 5% of the target's defense for each buff on them. She's a very interesting champion. She can put block debuffs, block damage, and a counterattack on a single ally as well, and reset the cooldown of all their skills. So great opportunities to reset like Trun does and in Hydra and stuff like that. So, you know, she is a support champion, so she's not going to do all the work, but she can enable your damage dealers to deal a hell of a lot more damage. So Fina gets an A+. Wallmaster Othorian. I really love this dude. He's very good. Enemy max HP on an AoE with block buffs. Very nice. And a decreased attack. Very good for Hydra. A lot of damage and an AoE on the A1. He brings his own buffs on the A3 with an extra turn, which is you love to see as well. We're going to give Wallmaster Othorian an A. Shiramani. Shiramani has an alright heal on the A2 and an AoE freeze with turn meter fill on her A3. She has a freeze on her A1. I don't think she's the strongest champion out there. I think she's make a hair better than Pixneal. We'll give her a C+. Lon Ethereal, an ally attacker. Ally attackers are all good in this game for the most part. Well, I take that back. There's a bunch of mediocre, like rare ally attackers with one ally joining in, but most legendaries are all at least usable, and that's definitely the case for Lon Ethereal. Every ally attacker out of legendaries have some sort of like a niche that they're best at, right? And we're going to talk about them all in today's video. He's an HP based. He's very, very tanky. He has an AoE with a big shield as well. So not a hell of a lot going on in his kit, but nice, tanky, all allies joining in, ally attacker. We'll give him a B+. Basilius Ronus, excuse me, got a a decent buff. AoE stun, pretty solid. Decreased target's turn meter by 50% if the stun isn't placed. And then he has a 50% ignore defense with ignore block damage. Triple hitter, ignore increased defense as well. Can deal some nice damage. That being said, he still feels kind of old school, you know? 4-turn cooldowns. No passives, no auras, but he's not trash. Good for control, good for damage. We'll go ahead and give him I'll give him a B-. Deliana. Deliana has an AoE with a leech on her A1. She was a fusion back in the day, or a fragment summon. She kind of has a lot going on, right? She's an HP-based damage dealer, but also a debuffer, right? She's not the best, but she's not the worst. She brings block buffs, but it's on a 4-turn cooldown. She's not my favorite for Hydra, but she is really good in a stun set. Could deal some nice damage, too, actually, for an HP-based damage dealer. We'll give her a B-. The Incarnate she's Arbiter's companion champion, right? Kind of underwhelming. She's not trash for support, though. If you pull her early on and, you know, right around the time that you get Arbiter, I'm sure you use them both together and you could be satisfied with them. That being said, she's underwhelming, especially for endgame players. Ally protection is strengthened is not a bad ability on a 3-turn cooldown, but the rest of it, even the Arbiter synergy, is just all right. Just all right. Gonna give her a C. Lysandra, the Queen of Speed, the OG Queen of Speed. And you know what? She's still very, very good to this day. 110 base speed, speed in all battles, Energize, increased speed, and a 30-30. Honestly, Energize is still the best ability when we talk about turn meter manipulation, you know? Increase speed on all allies, increase turn meter on all allies by 30%, and 30% reduction on the same move. And then she has Exhaustion, where you fully deplete the target's turn meter. I use her in Dark Fae, areas like that. Still good in the arena. I really like her. She hasn't aged, you know, she's not as effective as a Shu Zen, for example, because she doesn't have that instant turn type ability. But man, she still does, she needs to be respected, I guess. And she is good at what she does. We'll give her an A-. Rail Huntsman is an AoE decreased defense champion with a big, hard-hitting ignore defense 100% on his dead aim ability. That being said, outside of that, there's not much going on there. You know, dead aim is great, but in this meta, on a 5-turn cooldown, we need a little something else, you know, like extra turn if you kill an enemy, ignore stone skin, block damage, something like that. So honestly, I'm not as high as a lot of players are in Royal Huntsman. He does feel a little bit aged, even though his skills are cool, you know? I'm going to go ahead and give him a B-. Yannicka is available in the clan shop vis-a-vis fragments, and she actually smacks for a spirit-based damage dealer. She has this perfect veil on herself and then extra turn, which also gets more out of the rest of her kit with the perfect veil synergy. As a matter of fact, you get an AoE on that A1. Not the best damage dealer in the entire game or anything like that, but I think she's pretty good, right, for damage and AoEs. We're gonna give her a B. Tatura Rhymehide. Tatura is a very good, technically a defense-based champion, but really a support champion. Perfect Veil on a 4-turn cooldown, a block debuffs, and increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Kind of a nifty passive, too, with the freeze. We'll give Tatura a B+. High Keeper Prisma. Hi, Peeper. How you doing? We have a solid revive, 75-75 with a perfect veil. Very good. Very unique champion here, too. Before attacking, removes all buffs from the enemy. The allies with the highest crit damage will join in. Instant turn if you kill that enemy. Also a stun on the A1. A very nifty passive where we're converting buffs, or we're converting buffs to debuffs, basically. Really cool champion. Tough grade here. Cool champion, but not like a meta beast or anything like that. We'll give High Keeper Prisma a B+. Lizanther Beastbane is the first champion we're talking about that I don't have, actually. He was a fusion that I skipped. An AoE decreased speed and a weaken. If there's a hex, it places them before attacking on a 3-turn cooldown. Not too bad. It clearly meant to be with a life barrier, ignore on that passive. Clearly meant to be a Hydra champion. I just think there's better out there for most players who've been playing the game for a significant amount of time. I'd be curious if any of you guys still run him on your Hydra teams or anywhere else. I'm going to give him a C. I think he's just very average. Ethos. Pretty good damage dealer still to this day. Back in the day, he was one of the most sought after damage dealers in the game. He was the best nuker back in 2019 of Raid Shadow Legends, being Void and having 2 strong AoEs. They did give him a buff. They upgraded the weakened from the small version to the big version, which was nice. I think they actually upped the damage multipliers as well. This attack is always critical. A good way to buff him, in my opinion, would have been this attack is always critical. Apply it to every single one of his moves, because he is a Void legendary at the end of the day. He's been power crept, though, outside of that. Kind of a one-dimensional damage dealer who has a weaken, which is nice, but you can find that, you know, all over the place now in 2026 Raid Shadow Legends. We're going to go ahead and give him a B. Bellinor got a buff as well. He used to be a single target, decreased defense and weaken. Now it's an AoE. He's Xavia's champion as well, companion champion. Overkill does have nice multipliers, good damage there. The overall damage profile, though, on Insurmountable is just okay. So you're looking at a Void, decreased defense, weakened champion who's way worse than champions like a Yuneska Grailbearer or a Lydia Death Siren, or a Venus for that matter. So I'll give Bellinor a B+. B+, it feels fair. Arbiter, still very, very good. Still one of the better turn meter boosters for the arena. Increase attack, big 30%. When we talk about turn meter boosting in this game, we're always looking for 30%. That is like the best. There are some exceptions maybe to that, some niche exceptions. But with the increased attack and the heal, if they have less than 50% HP, and the turn meter boost, she's a great setup champion. On her revive, it's not the strongest, but you get an extra turn where you can go into the heal, or you can use the revive just as a turn meter boost. She has a good A1, a good AoE on the A2 as well, of speed in arena battles. We'll give Arbiter an A. Supreme Elhaim, actually, out of the Supremes, she's one of my favorites, honestly. She can smack. That being said, her ignore is cool, but it's shield, strength, and ally protection. Not exactly what we're looking for here. Good against like a Naime or something like that, but she's just not meta, and she just doesn't have quite enough of a robust kit to be a meta champion, at least in PvP, but she can really smack in PvE. She can deal some really nice damage from a Void nuker. I think she's quite better than Ethos. I'm going to go ahead and give her maybe a B+. Solinar the Gleaming, one of the newest champions in the game. Of course, Noldua's companion champion. Solinar the Gleaming is going to be, I mean, this dude is just insane. He's immune to debuffs while this skill is not on cooldown. Whenever an enemy attempts to place a debuff on this champion, while this skill is not on cooldown, he gains a random buff instead. The AoE on the A1 smacks with fatigue, and it happens all the time, right? 80% chance to counterattack with this skill whenever an enemy gets an extra turn or an instant turn. Has a 35% chance to counterattack with this skill whenever an enemy has their turn meter increased. I mean, this dude, I haven't even covered the entire kit. This dude is nuts, nuts, nuts. I'm going to give him S tier. All right. High Elves. We're moving right along here, guys. Sacred Order time. Roshkar the Tower. An old school block damage champion. Zone of Protection. The weird thing is, though, it is block damage for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown, right? That skill in and of itself can be handy against a bunch of bosses, right? Nether Spider, Iron Twins, areas like that, right? So quite a niche champion. There's not much else to his kit, but that one niche that he does have, even though quite a few champions do have it now in this game, it's good. It's solid, right? So we're going to give him a, I don't know. He's so hard to rank. B-, I guess. Corvus the Corruptor. I don't know. Corvus the Corruptor. Interesting poison champion. AoE, chance of placing 2 poisons, but it's a 2-time hitter, so 4 poisons is very good with the poison sensitivity. Puts him in really, a small circle of champions that have that sort of potential in terms of poison output, right? And then he has increased duration of enemy buffs and ally buffs, or enemy debuffs and ally buffs. So really good kit. There's a little bit more too with the poison decreased damage. I'll give Corvus. He's like I like his motif too. I'm like the Black Death, the Black Plague vibe with that kind of witch doctor or doctor, excuse me. I'll give him a B. Astralon, man, Astralon needs a buff. He was the man when he was released. He's Countess Lix's companion champion. They have crappy synergy together, and both of them I think need a buff. That being said, he does hit decently hard. He also has a stun on a 100% stun on a 4-turn cooldown. I think he's decent but not great. I'll give him a B-. Holstring, very interesting champion. A niche champion. He's got a bunch of multi-hitters in his kit, 4 times at random. Hex, decreased speed. He got a buff as well a year or 2 or 3 ago. He's interesting, and he's very good in areas where there's one boss present, like a Chimera or Demon Lord clan boss, Fire Knight, for example, with all those multi-hitters. I do find him to be very niche outside those areas, though. We'll give Holstring a B-. Hansel. Hansel's better than Gretel, but that's not saying much. Frankly, together, they're both really decent. Alone, they're not that great. Like I said, I think he's quite a bit better than Gretel, though, in a vacuum. He's just not that great alone. And I want to judge every champion alone. We'll give Hansel alone. We'll give him a C. He-Man. Now this is a champion. He-Man has speed in arena battles from a nuker at 28%. That's very good, and it's kind of hard to find. I have the power in the background. Okay. An AoE that's very nice. 2 sources of damage, attack and HP, and ignore stone skin move. If this attack kills an enemy, fills a turn meter of all allies by 30%. He brings his own increased attack. He brings his own strengthen on the passive. He's immune to petrification. Nice little add-on there. Counter to Skeletor. I think He-Man is quite good. I'm going to go ahead and give him an A. And he should be good, damn it. Alice the Wanderer, of course, another free champion from Alice's Adventure collab. She's a lockout champion. She has the A3 that actually Queen Slayer hits pretty hard, which is nice. Her lockout, though, doesn't feel very legendary-esque. It's a 2-turn 2-turn on the lockout, not 3 turns, which is like the standard that we look for. The good news is 100% chance to decrease each target's turn meter by 15%, and on the passive, whenever this champion resets the cooldown of one of this champion's skills each time they kill an enemy, which can be very nice to get back to that A2 even sooner. That being said, I don't think she scales very well into the end game, but she can be very useful if you're just lacking a lockout champion. We're going to go ahead and give her a B-. April O'Neil. I think the worst of the Ninja Turtles collab champions, honestly. She's just not good, unfortunately. Increased accuracy, decreased turn meter with an extra turn is not a bad move, but it's not good enough to be the highlight of her kit, you know? If they had just added, an increased turn meter of all allies, we could be talking, at least she'd be a good setup champion. But the way that the explosive scoop and her ace reporter passive works just doesn't have a use anywhere in the game, really, value over replacement wise. I'm going to give her a D. I hate to do it, but it's true. Errol is next. He's a damage dealer who got a big buff. He actually smacks now a couple years ago. That being said, he's kind of a one-dimensional damage dealer. Doesn't have any ignore, buffs or anything like that in his kit. Can absolutely smack from a Force Affinity nuker, but something weird has happened over the last few years where Force Affinity nukers are now dominant and all over the place in the meta. When he was buffed, there wasn't that many options. Now there's tons of options, and Errol, for most accounts, just isn't going to be one of them. I'll go ahead and give Errol a B- because he does smack. Abyss. I used to love Abyss. AoE decreased defense, which is solid, and Divine Wrath, which can honestly smack, especially in PvE. That being said, I feel like she's been crept too, unfortunately. In a vacuum, she's not awful, but I'm going to have to give her a C+. I'd like to see a buff to Abyss. Galicia Soul Guide actually did get a buff, and it was a great buff. She steals all buffs. She has an AoE weaken, big version. She has a block debuffs on all allies. She has a freeze on all enemies, fills turn meter, a great passive that can negate cooldown effects. I think she is an instant turn mechanic as well. I think she's still quite niche, but a lot better than she used to be. I'll give her a B. Hi, Mother Maud. I do not have her, but I'm very close. I think I have 88 fragments. What about you guys? Where are you on your Hi, Mother Maud trajectory? She's actually a really good champion. Very good reviver. Chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs. Increased duration of all ally buffs with the heal and the cleanse on the passive, man. Little Tawana Rock, little revival on the AoE. 50-50, not bad. I'm going to give her an A. I think she's really good. Vault Keeper works well. Exceptionally good, even without Titus teams. He has 100% provoke against bosses when booked on his A1. He was a community vote. We all voted for his skills a couple years back, and I think we did a hell of a job, if I do say so myself, right? Decrease the duration of all ally buffs, which is beautiful for shield extension, and of course he has the grow shield ability, right? A lot more to his kit than that, but I'm going to give Vault Keeper works well an A-. I think he's very good. Matthias Blackveil, I think he stinks. He is a taunt champion, which is can be handy in some situations. Again, Phantom Shogun Grove, areas like that. He has reflect damage, which can be handy against like the Fire Knight. But honestly, he just doesn't bring any damage to the table, and I think he's, you know, good for Fire Knight, and that's about it. Fire Knight normal at that. Or in Phantom Shogun as well. Isn't even particularly good in wave content or anything like that. So I'm going to give him a C-. Gretel, Hagbane, I'm just not a fan. If she's with Hansel, then I think she's solid, you know, alongside him. But you need Hansel. You need him on the damn team to get anything out of Gretel, who was the fusion champion. I'm going to give her a D. I'm just not a fan. Shaq Daddy, Basim. Not the strongest assassin, but certainly very good, right? He has an extra turn mechanic with a perfect veil and a hard-hitting A3, and then Up in Smoke is very nice. An AoE block active skills that ignores block debuffs if he's under a veil or perfect veil, which he just put on himself. That alone is really solid. I'm going to give him an A-. Martyr, an old school champion, but she still has some real viability. An AoE provoke, albeit a 4-turn cooldown. I don't like that cooldown on her, unfortunately. Decrease attack. It's funny, back in the day, though, she was the best. I mean, she was a top 3 legendary in the game back in 2019 when the game was launched. Her and Valkyrie, they were the most sought-after champions, both Spirit Affinity 2, in the game when I started playing. Increased defense and a counterattack on all allies is a very good move still. Bastion of Faith. Counterattack is on quite a few other champions now than back in the day. There was 3 champions for years and years. But still, it's nice to have. We're going to give Martyr a... honestly, I think Martyr's an A-. I think she's still very viable. Cubitus. Venus's companion champion. They gave him a buff about a year or 2 ago. AoE on the A1 that does nice damage. AoE HP burn that does nice damage as well, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. A hard-hitting flame out. He brings his own increased attack, and he has good synergy with Venus. That being said, he's not the best champion in the game. I'm going to give Cubitus a B. Archbishop Pinthro. I used to love this dude. He has been power crept a bit, though. But he was great for Hydra, especially upon release. He has kind of everything you need. A good mix of support, increased accuracy, block buffs on an AoE, increased defense, albeit on a 4-turn cooldown. A lot to like about him, but a lot that we want a little bit more out of him, too. So I think nowadays he's about a B champion. Bivald of the Thorn, he was a fragment summon like years ago, and actually really still like this guy quite a bit. All of his debuffs he can land on weak hits, and his entire kit, which is really, really nice. He brings heals based on his damage. He brings shield. He brings 2 AoEs that deal decent damage. He brings an AoE provoke, which is fantastic. He brings leeches, which can heal the rest of your team. He has provoke chance on his A1 as well. I'm going to give him an A-. I think he's underrated, actually. Falmond Morn Sword is the unity in the Sacred Order, and honestly, I am not a huge fan. I have him. He's kind of nifty, where you will kind of want to build him slow because he gets better depending on how many enemies take a turn between his turns, right? But, you know, his claim to fame is basically all allies are immune to cooldown increasing effects if you have everybody on the same team. I just think he's one of the more underwhelming. He's not useless, but he's kind of close for a unity, you know? I'm going to give him a C-. Udex Artor. Udex is a decent reviver, right? He was a freebie as well. Was he a freebie or was he a fusion? I think it was a freebie. Honestly, not a bad champion, right? He's not the best, but he's not the worst. He has a revive, single target, He has the activates the revived allies default skill, targeting the enemy with lowest HP, which is nice. He brings an increased attack, a strengthen, and a turn meter fill on a 3-turn cooldown. He feels kind of like a really good epic, but that's still a really good epic to help a lot of players, right? To me. So we'll give him a B-. Ezio, the most recent free legendary champion in the game. Ezio is very good. He's personally one of my favorite freebies that they've given us. I put him like Michelangelo level. You know, I talked a lot about how I thought Mikey was very good. The AoE poisons with the activation, with the stone skin bomb synergy, the hidden gun that can deal some really nice damage, decreased defense on the A1. He brings quite a bit, and he has all that assassin synergy with the perfect veil and stuff like that. He's tough to kill, you know, because of this passive. So I'm going to actually give Ezio an A-. So very good champion. Sir Nick got a big boy buff. First when Lady Noelle was introduced to the game in late 2024. And then when he got a buff at late 2025. He has counterattack, continuous heal, unkillable, with a taunt now as well if Lady Noelle's on the same team. He's a lot better than he once was. Of course, he's quite a bit better when Lady Noelle's on the team because he can freeze at 100%. That can't be blocked or resisted with the counterattack and the taunt. That's a nasty 3-way combo. You can get, everybody can get Sir Nick. It would just cost you, what, 8 legendaries and life tokens in the token trader shop. That being said, Sir Nick is a lot better than he used to be, but I am judging him without Lady Noelle. So without Lady Noelle, I think he's maybe a B+ champion. With Lady Noelle, I think he's more of a A+ champion. Venus. AoE decreased defense and weaken. AoE burn. Poison on the A1. Cupidus synergy. HP in all battles. Great base stats. She's tanky. She's fast. I think that Venus is quite underrated still to this day. She's kind of a Jill of all trades. She's got a little bit going on for damage, AoEs, good with Nature's Wrath Blessing, right? I'm going to give Venus an A. What more do you want from a champion, right? She brings decreased defense, weaken, AoE, and all that other stuff. All right, Cardiel. Cardiel, man, he's still got it after all these years. He's got speed in all battles, 19% on the aura. He's got the cleanse. He's got the revive on death, protected revive on death, which is really nice on a 3-turn cooldown, and the ally attack, right? Not the strongest ally attack in the game anymore, but not a bad one. A little heal on the A1 too. Cardiel will give an A. Constantine the Dayborn. Constantine actually can smack. He's Vlad's companion champion, Vlad the Nightborn. Enemies from Undead Horde, Demonspawn, and Knights Revenant killed by this champion cannot be revived. There's a lot of meta champions in those factions. You get a lot of block revives, even if Vlad's not on the team, when anybody can not be revived. Quietude hits very hard, and so does his Rune Shatter. So very good damage dealer. That being said, he's not, he's not the best champion in the game or anything like that. So I'll give him a B. Supreme Aethel. I'm not a big fan of Supreme Aethel. I gave a little love to Supreme Elhain and the Dark Elves, but I cannot say the same about Supreme Aethel, sadly. An AoE freeze, which is not bad, but that's about it. That's about it. She has an extra turn mechanic, just like the regular Aethel does, so I respect, the mirroring of the starting champion skills and the design on Aethel, but she brings, like, no damage for an attack-based damage dealer. With almost 1,600, she doesn't hit hard. So... you got an AoE freeze champion. And nowadays, they're a dime a dozen. I'm going to go ahead and give Supreme Aethel, unfortunately, a C-, maybe a D+. Virtuous the Anointed, I don't have. I'm going to point out, as you guys can see, every champion I don't have, just because I think it's fair to give disclaimers if I've never actually used the champions. So Virtuous, I don't have. That being said, I don't want him. I don't want to see him come out of a Void Shard. Not a lot of damage here, despite the 1,700 base attack. Wow, multipliers just aren't there. He brings some damage buffs. Ignore some defenses. A3 actually does hit pretty hard, his single target, and ignore shield unkillable block damage. But nowadays, I feel like they're just, every champion that's released, damage dealer, has something like this and more. So I'm going to go ahead and give him I think it's like a D+ is what I want to give him, but since I don't have him, I'll be respectful with a C-. Lady Noelle, certainly one of the best revivers out there in the game. Even better with Sir Nick as well. She brings an increased speed on a 3-turn cooldown and AoE freeze on a 3-turn cooldown. Can't be resisted or blocked. If Sir Nick is on the same team, that's insane. One of the most powerful, if not the most powerful revives on an AoE in the game. It's a 3-turn cooldown, you know? Good passive as well. I'm going to go ahead in speed and arena battles by 30%. We're going to give Lady Noelle S tier. Okay, so we have, what, 2 S tier champions so far? I feel like I'm doing a good job, not just handing them out to everybody, right? All right, Barbarian time, Altan. I can't believe they haven't buffed this dude yet. One of the worst in the game. I'm going to give him an F. He has an AoE increased defense and a couple single target moves. That's it. F. He's going to get a buff in 2026. Mark my words. Scylla the Drakes. I love my girl Scylla the Drakes. I think she's still great when you get her in the game, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. All jokes and memes aside, she looks incredible. Her kit is good with the stun and the revive and the heals. Solid champion, but she's a B. She's a B. You know, back 4 or 5 years ago when she was introduced to the game, she was really, really solid. Now she's still solid, but just not as good as she once was, to quote Toby Keith, I think. Operative Clanfather. Clanfather got a big buff. Listen, Clanfather's an easy champion to grade and review. He's heals on heals on heals on heals with block debuffs, which they added to his kit, but great turn meter boosts on this passive. He's no Senna Emberheart, but he's the next best thing if you don't have Senna. So in longer battles especially, you can get a ton of turn meter fill from this paternal passive. We'll go ahead and give him a B. Chronum, don't have him because I have no friends. Chronum is a burn activator. He's kind of like Ninja Light. He doesn't have his activation on the same burn skill. We'll give Chronum a, I don't have him, but we'll give him a B. Armand the Magnificent. The, what, 6th anniversary champion, March of 2024. AoE stuns. You know Armands, right? Buff removal, the cooldowns, the more cooldowns on the passive. He's just still, with the speed in arena battles, he still is one of the best controllers in all of Raid Shadow Legends. I'm going to give him an A+. I will say, like, I don't know why I'm saying this because it feels like I'm taking a shot at Armands, but I like Fabian better nowadays. But Armands is still insane. Very annoying, extremely meta, and extremely viable. Thor Faye Hammer. I still don't have Thor. I missed the fusion. I went for the fusion, but I just miscalculated. But Thor is very good. We're talking about a lot of damage. Ignore block damage and unkillable as well. And then he has an AoE decreased speed as well. You put 2 strong AoEs in one champion's kit, both on a 3-turn cooldown. You're looking at a really, really solid champion because he's not just bringing with the thunder stacks as well. He's not just bringing damage, but he's bringing some real viable utility to the table as well. We're going to go ahead and give Thor an A. Contra, the Cyclone. I like Contra. I always have, and I always will. I think her passive is very, very good. Her A2 on a 3-turn cooldown when booked brings a 3-time AoE, excuse me, and then each hit will place one of these debuffs. But then it synergizes so beautifully with her passive, and she can land all those debuffs on weak hits. She's a great provoker as well. I used her in Hydra for a long, long time. She's tanky. She heals herself. I think she's great, but she's a bit niche nowadays in the game. So we'll give Contra the Cyclone a B. Elder Skarg. I think he needs a buff. This could be a 6-hitter or 6-time hitter on the A2, and then a pretty good A3 here. Can put a provoke on legendary champions, irresistible buffs over here, but I just think he hasn't aged that well. I don't know anybody who uses him like as their main option who's been playing for a while and has a decent roster. He's not awful though. I'll give Elder Skarg a, I don't know, maybe a C+. I think he needs a buff. Alsgore Crimson Horn. Very interesting champion. He's a complete heal in his kit. Fully heals a target ally. Block damage 2 turns. If we gave Roshkar a B-, we got to give Alskor like an A-, right? AoE buff removal, kind of like a Mighty Ukko type A2 here as well. He's Jetney the Giant's companion champion. She can deal some nice damage. Spirit Affinity damage dealer as well. We'll give Alskor, like I said, an A-. I think he's actually kind of an underrated legendary champion. Xena, warrior, princess, like He-Man. She was a champion pass champion. She can, like He-Man, she can smack. Got some ignore defense. She's very, very good against targets with a lot of buffs on them, which is obviously all over the place in the meta. That being said, I frankly like He-Man and Predator certainly a lot more than I like her. So we'll go ahead and give Xena we'll give her a B+. That didn't mean to click off there. We have Dune Lord Gregor. He's the Unity champion here. Dune Lord Gregor is I don't have Dune Lord Gregor on my account. Decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. Shield. And increase the duration of ally buffs. I like these moves on a 3-turn cooldown. Decrease the cooldown of ally skills on 1 faction ally by 1 turn. Turn meter fill. Increase attack. Increase accuracy. I like Dune Lord Gregor. I think he's, is a he. Yeah, it's a he. I think he's one of the better unities, actually. Not the best, but a solid one. We'll go ahead and give him an A. Freya. Freya's very, very, very good. She's very fast. She has survivability, preventive death, the ally with the highest crit damage. She's got, like, her everything about her kit is screams very good. AoE provoke that actually does damage. She's got a massive shield with an increased defense. She got block debuffs, cleanse, and a turn meter fill. We're gonna give her an A+. She's very, very good. Esme the Dancer. Interesting champion. She's fast. She's got increased attack on all allies on her A1, which is nice. She's got an AoE weaken, block buffs, good for Hydra. Increased accuracy, increased speed on all allies on a 4-turn cooldown. Womp womp. The only thing I don't like about her kit is that. But she has some pretty cool stuff going on. Whenever champion is hit, increase the turn meter of the ally with the highest attack by 50%. That's a nifty little passive there too. I'm going to give Esme the Dancer a B-. Good champion. Dune Herald Zarias. Not a bad champ here. Intercept, block debuffs, increase speed on a 3-turn cooldown. Certainly a unique kind of set of skills there on that A3. And speed in all battles by 20%. Solid there too. You can use it, well, everywhere, right? I like the intercept, but it's only on 1 ally. That's kind of a bummer move there. Buff spread, though. Taking all buffs from this champion, placing them on all allies. A block buffs and a block active skills on a target as well. Very interesting champion here. I think he's good, but not like the best of the best. I'm going to give him an A-. Raphael, another Ninja Turtle with a block revive on the A1, kind of the Force Ninja Turtle version, legendary version of Phenax, but probably better. An AoE that does decent damage. Each critical hit fills his turn meter on that A2, which is very nice. A hard-hitting, not today knucklehead as well. But really, that A1 is the biggest threat. It has that Berserk synergy, which is, you know, kind of hit or miss. But overall, Raph is a force to be reckoned with and a threat on the battlefield anywhere he goes. I think Raph is probably an A. Valkyrie. Old school champion. We talked about her when we talked about Martyr, right? She got that AoE with a counterattack, big shield too. Jealousy is great for cutting in line. That being said, Valkyrie's fallen off a bit over the years. She's not what she once was. She's still solid though. We'll go ahead and give Valkyrie give her a B+. Rorik Wormbane. Man, some people like this guy, some people hate this guy. He does have a stun on all other enemies on a 3-turn cooldown with a turn meter decrease of 75%. Honestly, that Dragon Rage is a really good ability. It's a really good control ability. And then a Scale Breaker, which has a solid ignore defense as well. Speed in all battles by 19. You could do worse there too. I'm not a huge fan, though, of Rorik. Feels like a pretty solid epic to me. I'll give him a C. Raf Matab, AoE Provoke champion, right there. And he has a reflect damage and increased resistance on a 5-turn cooldown. One of, I think, the kind of the worst legendary champions out there. These buffs are not sought after, and a 1-turn Provoke, honestly, is, Gnarlhorn has that, a rare champion. We're going to give him a D+. Jetney the Giant, as I said, is an AoE damage dealer. She has ignore defense and a decreased defense, which is not bad. Alsgor's companion champion. Towering Might, both of her abilities have decent multipliers as well. That being said, she's kind of one-dimensional. What did I give Abyss? I think she's about the same as an Abyss. C+, B-, that territory. Archer Queen, Nergigante Archer. One of the better wave controllers in all of Raid Shadow Legends, right? AoE stun or decrease speed against bosses, and an AoE provoke with the Hex. 2 turns against bosses. Exceptionally good for Hydra Clan boss. I still use her on one of my Hydra Clan boss teams, and I have, heck, almost every mythical in the game, right? That speaks to how good she is. Very, very effective. She also heals very well. She heals your team. I'm going to give her an A. Loki, the Deceiver. Loki was a free login champion as part of the Asgard Divide event. And he was the first champion to be added to the game with the evasion ability. He's annoying. He's tough to kill. He's a good controller too. He steals buffs. He steals turn meter. He puts block active skills, a debuff spread effect in his kit too, an AoE on the A1. There's a lot to like about him, but he has never really been a meta champion, but good for progression and control. If you don't have a better option in the arena as well, we'll go ahead and give him a B. Turvold, one of the best for a champion that doesn't have any ignored defense at all in his kit. He's really one of the best raw damage dealers in the game. He can one-shot pretty much anybody, anywhere. He's better with more buffs on him as well. He has a big version of Weaken on his A1 as well. I've always been a sucker for Turvold, man. He's not, you know, necessarily the champion you want to see coming out of a Void Shard. Like, you're not going to celebrate, like, you know, like some of the newer champions in the game. But Turvold's he's still a beast, man. He's still a beast. I'm going to give him a strong A-. Ursuga Warcaller. Very interesting champion, Ursuga. She get an ally protection and a strength and a 75% damage mitigation on 3-turn cooldown, and she eats up 30% of damage from critical hits. She's a nice little tank to support your team, kind of like a neck-ready type champion that you can run just to soak up damage. She's very, very tanky, and she's one of the few kind of HP-based ally protector type champions that has an AoE potential decreased defense too. I've always been intrigued by Ursuga, but she's never been, you know, at least for years and years, she hasn't really been a meta option. We'll go ahead and give her maybe a B+ on Ursuga. Yakarl the Scourge is available to everybody inside the clan shop, vis-a-vis fragments, AoE freeze. They give him a buff too. 100% against targets 75% or more turn meter. Can't be resisted by targets with 75% or more turn meter. Very, very good in a 4-turn cooldown, a decreased speed, and stealing turn meter. Solid champion all around. We'll go ahead and give Yakarl he's kind of a good blend between damage and control. We'll give Yakarl a B. Tawana Rock, increased defense, increase speed, 3-turn cooldown, cleanse on the passive, decrease speed on the A1, and a decrease attack, block buffs, and a debuff spread. Exceptionally good in Hydra Clan boss. A very good support basically everywhere in the game. She's kind of the Jill of all trades for PvE content because, I mean, you kind of want increased defense and increased speed everywhere. She can get more damage out of your increased defense champions. She brings a really nice Radiant Suffering A2 ability and the cleanse. So I think she's fantastic. We'll give her an A. Odin Faithfather. Well, he's going to be our 3rd S-tier champion, ladies and gentlemen. I think Odin's one of the best champions in the game. Buff removal on AoE with decreased defense and a stun on 100% land rate from a Void champion on a 3-turn cooldown. Did I mention that? And then an enemy max HP ability on the A3 with a revival if you kill an enemy. His kit is so good that he is S-tier in PvE and S-tier in PvP, right? He's got that Void arena battle on the aura too. Just a very, very, very good champion. Bayak, kind of a new assassin in the game. His claim to fame is Siwa's Pride. This champion and their allies cannot receive critical hits from enemies whose accuracy is equal to or lower than their own accuracy. Holy mackerel. If you build a team around having high accuracy champions, you won't get critical hits. That's pretty nasty. He has an AoE provoke and a decreased accuracy. He's got an extra turn mechanic in his kit. I'm going to give him an A+. I think this guy's really good, honestly. Defense based too, so he's tanky. Very good. Won't give him S, but I think I'm going to give him an A+. Ogryn tribe, guys. We got Biggin. Well, I say it every time I talk about this dude, but he was my first legendary champion on this very account that I'm playing on right now. So he has a special place in my heart. That being said, he's, you know, he's good, but he's not the best champion. He's got good control, turn meter manipulation, decreased speed, a stun chance, you know, an AoE on every move, kind of like a big version of Bellower. We'll give him a B-. War Mother. I don't have War Mother. I think she's the only original champion I don't have on my account. She's got bombs, and then she has instant detonation of bombs, but she has to be under increased attack. She's no Nishak. She's all right. Good for bomb faction wars, decent bomb option, but she's not the greatest, unfortunately. We'll go ahead and give her, and look at those poor flies. I feel bad for War Mother. I know out of any champion you wanted me to zoom on, guys. I know, fellas, you wanted some War Mother. All right, we'll give her a, sadly, we'll give her a C-. I'm being kind. What is in War Mother's, who is that on her back? I feel bad. All right, Ignatius. Yeah, AoE provoke, AoE burn that can't be resisted, but the cooldowns are awful on this dude. 6 book down to 5. Give me Walking Tomb Drang any day. He used to be decent, some decent damage with an increased defense buff on him, but I feel like he's been power crept. I'm going to go ahead and give him a C+. Those cooldowns, I just can't deal with it. Vizig the Noxious. He's the Unity champion, and I think he's an all-right Unity, but certainly far from the best, personally. An AoE with instant activation on poisons and burns, an AoE placing poisons and a burn, and an increased accuracy, increased duration of debuffs, increased speed with an ally on the team, poisons and burns placed by allies deal more damage, increased accuracy. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you guys. I'd be here all day. I think his kit, I have him, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was more excited on paper than I actually was when I put him, like, I felt like, hey, if he wants to be an activator, I have better activators. If he wants to just be a poison or burn applier, I've got better of those as well. Now, if you don't have any of those things, you might love him. But for me, I'll give him a B-. He's not awful, but just not my fave. Gurtuk Moss Beard. I mean, he's the dude who puts poisons on your team, and then you do more damage based off poisons on your team. Because of that, he'll always have a niche but meta spot, getting more damage out of the Trundas of the world, especially in longer battles where you have time to take advantage of all that extra poison damage, right? So we'll give him, and honestly, the rest of his kit isn't that bad either, especially for Hydra with the block buffs. So we'll give Gurtuk a, he was a fusion long time ago. We'll give him a, he's tough to grade. He's so niche, right? I don't know. I'm going to give him a B-. Gerda Bogbrew is a daily login champion. She's got an AoE weaken. She's got a poison on enemies without weaken that can't be resisted. She's got this cool A3 where she's cleansing and she's removing some buffs. She's placing poisons. I'm not as low as most people are on Gerda. She's nice and tanky too, but I'm not that high. She's like a kind of a miniature version of a Bad Alcazar, I would say. So we'll give her a B-. Koragar Deathbell, really good support champion. Ally protection is strengthened, kind of like we talked about with their Suga. The 75% damage mitigation on all allies, very strong. And then we have a full cleanse on the A2, very good. Filling turn meter, 30%. You really can't complain about this kit. I'm going to give Koragar Deathbell an A. Brugard Jeroboam. Not a huge fan of this dude. He does have a cleanse, which you can't complain about, with a shield. Turn meter fill, honestly, now that I read it again, it's like, it's not that bad. I'll give him a B+. I don't know. I was a little bit higher on this dude when he came out, but honestly, I just think that, like, if you need a cleanser, there's probably better options on your account in most situations. He does have the buff increase too. He's not that bad. B+. All right, Cracklin' Rosie, or Cracklin' the Black End. Not a good champion in my opinion. A decreased defense and a weaken, increased duration of continuous heals, restores destroyed max HP. That's it. Faction wars only, D+. Moto of the Pearl is the companion champion of Esme the Dancer. AoE stun, 100%, not bad when booked. 3-turn cooldown. And then another AoE here with removes, damage increases while under Stone Skin, but it doesn't increase enough to be a viable anti-Stone Skin champion in my experience. Not a bad champion, not the best though. It's weird, like nowadays you just need more than just an AoE stun on a 3-turn cooldown. That used to be like automatic top champion in the game way back in the day. But Moto's not bad. I'll give him a B. Fist Axe Tuskor, excuse me. An AoE, decreased cooldown skill if you kill an enemy. He can deal some decent damage. Extra turn if you kill an enemy there. Not my favorite though. I don't have Fist Axe, I should mention. I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know. I'm not like dying for this dude. To me, kind of a niche damage dealer or progression champion. Force Affinity, not bad. I'm gonna give him a C+. Shamrock. Shamrock's an interesting champion. Has received a couple buffs throughout the years. An AoE decreased speed with a decreased turn meter. 4-turn cooldown. I wish they had brought that cooldown down 1 turn. I really wish they did that. I like what they did to the A2 though, reworking this a lot. Increased defense on everybody. Increased speed on allies with more than 50% HP, or a revive on death if they have less than 50% HP. So usually you end up getting an increased crit rate, increased speed, increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty good, obviously. Nice and fast, too. I think they could have done a little bit better on the buff, though. I would like to see maybe a speed aura on him instead of the accuracy aura. And I would like to maybe have that increased speed unconditional for everybody. And then the revive on death if they're less than 50% HP. So I'm going to give him a B-. Drockle the Gaunt is fast, tanky, increase attack, increase defense, block damage on allies with less than 30% HP on a 3-turn cooldown. A decent shield here with some healage on the A3. Stun chance, albeit a small one. 40%, not that bad on the A1, but just not a great champion. I mean, nowadays, increase attack, increase defense being the highlight of your kit is just not quite enough, you know? So we'll give him a D+. Urger, the Worm Eater, has buff removal on an AoE with a weaken. Pretty solid. Increased accuracy on all allies. Increased defense on allies whose defense is higher than attack. Increase attack on the reverse. Honestly, not an awful champion, not a meta champion. Kind of just like a solid champion if you need this sort of skill set. I'm going to give Uger, excuse me, give him a B-. Blizzard, the Howler. This dude can solo because of his passive. Whenever this champion is killed, revives him with 30% HP and a 30% turn meter and a revive on death on him for 1 turn. He can, transfers freezes back to the enemy. He's got increased defense, ally protection, 3-turn cooldown, AoE freeze. Honestly, not a bad champion at all. I'll give him a B+. Stalk the Broken. Man, the best thing about Stalk is, well, there's a lot of good things about Stalk, honestly. He's got speed in all battles. He's got the passive, right, of course. Damage by poison and burns on your entire team. Ignore block damage and unkillable. That makes him a meta option, an anti-Marichka option for your Nells and your Volcanoses in the arena. He is a meta option, although he is being pushed back by Mercurial sets as well. Not his fault, just the meta in the game. He's a good turn meter booster as well. He has continuous heals. He's got poisons and activations. He's a very good champion. I'm going to give his stock an A. Kraz, Wallbreaker, is a fusion champion with a bomb. He also has block active skills. He can do some damage too. Most people were really down on this fusion. I went for him, and I'd be lying if I said that I use him all the time, but he's not awful. I'll give him a triple hitter too, with a bomb detonation countdown. He's no Nishak, but he's not awful. I'll give him a B+. Gurgo, the Augur, got a big buff, and he really needed it. Buff removal with a freeze and an extra turn where he can go in with an AoE, decreased defense, extra hit if they're under freeze. He still has that freeze on his passive too. He's still got speed and arena battles on the aura. Honestly, a really good buff to this dude. Whether you need control in wave content or just a speed lead who can control the enemy team. If you don't have like an Odin on your account, he is a void affinity buff remover with freeze instead of stun with some damage. I like Gurgo the Augur. I'm going to give him an A. I think he's a lot better than he used to be. Grazer Iron Gut, an AoE with heal, increased buff duration, enemy max HP move, a provoke on an AoE, and increase defense. He's kind of like a Krisk of Ogryn Tribe, right? Different, but similarities as well. I'm going to give him an A. Togryn, the Conjoined, has got a big buff as well. He's got a cleanse. He's got a turn meter, cleanse, turn meter boost, increase accuracy, 3-turn cooldown, a heal, increase speed, continuous heal, and block debuffs on all allies on the A2. Pretty good passive here as well. He's got speed in all battles by 20%. I think Togryn is actually a really good champion now. I'll give him an A. Belladar Mage Slayer got a big buff. You know what? They do 2 buffs every month, but after 2 years of doing 2 buffs a month, I mean, we've got what we've already talked about, so many champions they buff. So, you know, I was kind of critical of that back in the day, but I have to hand it to them. They've done a good job with a lot of these buffs. Some not so much, but a lot of them they have. Anyway, AoE Revive on a 4-turn cooldown, block debuffs. Solid because he has this passive where he can decrease all allies' cooldowns by 1 turn when they're revived, and he reduces his own cooldowns as well. He has a handy A2 with the increased attack, increased defense, and a turn meter fill. So I really love what they did with this buff. He's got good base stats. I'm going to give him a A-. Diamond Copper Coin, an AoE increased duration of buffs, turn meter fill. He's got 3 intercept stacks on 1 ally, increased resistance, strength, and he has this wacky passive where he can convert debuffs into a buffs, which is actually really handy. That being said, I don't have Diamond Copper Coin, but I don't really want him. I think his kit is like all right. I'll give him for a void. I'm gonna give him a C. Classic Key Hulk. Man, he was a big addition towards the end of 2025 to the game. A little enemy max HP damage off that passive. He's got a counterattack, unkillable, and taunt. Taunt on himself, obviously. Counterattack, unkillable on all allies. 4-turn cooldown, 2-turn duration. And check out this A2. Decreased defense, weaken, decreased accuracy, and decreased defense on all enemies. Man, he is a PvE maniac. I'm going to give him an A+. Moving right along to Undead. No. To Lizardmen. I'm not going to skip half the factions in the game here, man. I actually do need a water break, though, so I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back with Lizardmen. Dracomorph. Draco is definitely an old school champion. He used to be the worst champion in the game, and then they gave him a big buff. They made this an AoE. I think it was the weak version of weaken and decreased defense way back in the day. He's still good for poison, still good for AoE decreased defense and weakened champion, but man, how the mighty have fallen in terms of like just being a defining meta champion. We'll give Draco it's hard to give him like an awful score though. I'll give him an A-. Roxanne. Honestly, I'm trying to be easy on the voice because I'm doing a 3-hour video or plus here. So I'm not going to sing, unfortunately. Oh, Roxanne. Okay, just a little bit, right? Man, they gave him a huge buff, and it was so necessary. It's hard to say that he's, you know, a meta-defining champion, but with this chameleon, they just absolutely, they did the right thing to this dude, right? They did good by Roxanne. The perfect veil protected on this champion for 1 turn whenever an enemy receives a buff. That's insane. The rest of the kit is incredibly good as well. He hits a lot harder now. They really made him a very viable champion, and he was one of the worst. We'll give Roxanne a A-. Basoth as a Doom Tower champion. Have we really not talked about any Doom Tower champions until now? I don't know. Isn't that crazy? He has an AoE stun with decreased turn meter, a strengthen, a continuous heal, and a shield. He's not a bad champion. A cool little Soul Keeper passive, too. He's just not... I mean, this is always the knock on him. I say it every time I talk about him. But by the time that you get him, you're probably... You know, you might use him in Lizardmen factions or something like that. But he doesn't have, like, a ton of utility, you know? So we'll go ahead and give him a... I don't think he's awful. I'll give him a B+. Karen the Harvester. Very interesting champion that was added last year. But, you know, just not quite enough. He has an AoE sleep that ignores block debuffs with an extra turn. kind of a sneaky opening move right there, right? Seeing as how he ignores block debuffs. And then he can attack an enemy, put the skills on cooldown, decrease turn meter of all enemies under sleep, and then without a sleep even more. A cool passive here as well, where you can have instant activation of the A2. A lot of cool synergy with him, but, you know, put it all together, I just don't really see that many people actually using him that much. You know, it's kind of like looks good on paper, but then when you have him, you're like, you know. I'm going to give him a B. Amok, the first satrap. Amok, let's just leave it at that. I do not have Amok. He's a very interesting champion. He has the Pain Link, right? Not many champions in the game have Pain Link. Thus, he's very good for Chimera Trials. Decreased resistance, Pain Link, decreased speed. I mean, we love that, right? He also has a pretty handy A3. I'm not going to read it to you guys, but he has one of those negative, positive type conversion type things. And then he has a leech as well as a stealing buff on his A1. Honestly, I think he's a very unique champion who's pretty solid. Like I said, I don't have him. I'm going to give him an A-. Donnie, A+. Tempted to go S tier on this dude, but I'm not going to. I've only given out, I think, 3 S tiers so far in the video, so I don't want to give him out like candy, but Donnie is one of the better fusions we've had. I think Donnie and Lady Noelle, 2 of the best fusions, in Fabian, I guess, 3 of the best fusions. Man, he's so freaking good. The passive is busted on Donnie. The cleanse with the turn meter boost, continuous heal, and a strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown with that A2. The A2 is so powerful. The skill cooldown, I mean, he is such a threat everywhere in this game. He is so good. He's A+. To me, he's like Freya level good, but maybe even better than Freya, you know? Not to compare 2 insanely good champions. But gosh, he just has it all. He has it all. Such a good champion. I think better than a lot of players expected when we first saw him as the fusion. Everyone was all about Leo for good reason. Leo's very good too. But Donna frickin' Tello, man, oh man, one of the strongest champions out there in the game. Fushan, he's got speed in all battles, 24%, AoE, still the Drakes, but with damage on that A2. Honestly, he can smack, he can do some damage, but he's been power crept over the years. I'll give him a B-, maybe a C+. Rosin Scarhide, the permanent fusion in the game. Damn it, I've been asking for a Rosin buff for years and years, and I don't think they're going to give it to him, man. I predicted a few buffs so far this video. I don't think they're going to buff Rosin anymore. 91 base speed, are you kidding me? 7-turn cooldown, are you kidding me? The crazy thing is his A1 and A2 are so good that he's still viable and worth going for. But man, oh man, I almost want to give him a D, just to prove a point that, like, they need to do something with this dude, because he really is a tale of 2 stories. Solid still, especially for progression, but man, I would love to see him solid for everybody, you know? He doesn't need to be the best player in the game. Sorry guys, this is the point of the video where I can't talk. Doesn't need to be the best champion in the game, but I think we deserve better out of Rosin. He has not aged that well. I'm going to give him a C-. Scholar Vargal did get a big buff, man. Some of the best base stats out there in the game. He's got a Provoke. He's got a Strengthen. That's a 2-turn cooldown, by the way. He's got all kinds of Scarab King nonsense on the passive. He's got the decreased attack on the AoE. He's not the best champion in the game, but he's a good champion. You can throw him in a bolster or a shield set as well. I like Skull Lord Vargal. I'll give him a B. Pythion, the empowerment champion for Predator is how I know him now. But now, jokes aside, very good reviver, cleanser, healer, block debuffs. This Shed Skin is one of the best, support abilities in the game, really. With the cleanse, the heal, and the block debuffs all on one 3-turn cooldown is fantastic. He's got the AOL. Maybe I need another break, guys. He's got the America Online. You've got mail. You've got Pythion. All right, so he's got the revive and that damage mitigation on overlay, right? So you put it all together, you're just looking at a very tanky, robust cleanser, healer, reviver, damage mitigator. We'll give him an A. Predator. Whoo-wee. Predator's A2 smacks Smart Disc. And then he's got the Hunter's Gaze, the block revive, where he can ignore block damage, and he's a beast. He is really the defining meta champion right now at the time of this recording in PvP. I go against Predator almost every battle. He is, to me, better than He-Man, better than Xena, the best of the past champions. Cool IP as well, but the evasion is so annoying. The counterattacks, I mean, the perfect veil. He's tough to kill. Predator is A+. Only reason I'm not going to go S tier is because in PvE, he's good, but, you know, just a damage dealer. Vergamkar. People hate Vergamkar, man. I don't understand why. Vergamkar is, like, to me, the definition of a really solid progression champion. Not good in the late game, but, man, what more do you want from a champion? I was watching, I'm not going to name the creator, but I was watching a creator pick out, like, the worst champions in the game, and they picked, I think the first champion they picked was Vergamkar. I'm like, what? I'm sure you guys probably had the same reaction at some point watching a video like this where you disagree, so no shade intended, but I mean, increased defense and a shield on a 3-turn cooldown, and then removing buffs from each enemy, heal reduction and a decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown on a really tanky champion. I don't know, increased defense, shield, removing buffs from enemy, 100% chance to remove 2 buffs from each enemy with a decreased defense, heal reduction. I mean, that's not bad at all, man. I'm gonna give him a B+, damn it. Vergamkar, I love him. I'm the only guy who does, but I respect that kit. They gave him a big buff a couple years back, and that was it. Nekmothar. Nekmo is a great champion. Hydra, he's like a machine, man. This Rune of Haste passive, he's always given turn meter, increased speed, fill in turn meter with an extra turn, AoE decreased speed, leech, and decreased attack on an AoE, man. Whether you're Chimera, Hydra, or just anywhere in PvP, Nekmo's got you covered. I'm going to give him an A. Krokmar, the Devourer. He's a fun champion, but not that great of a champion, unfortunately. An AoE on a 3-turn cooldown, self-buffing, and that's about it, honestly. He's good in a stun set, but and he's tanky, which is fun. But a fun does not necessarily mean good. We'll give him a C-. Legate Teox. Teox I do not have still, unfortunately, but he can still smack. He is the unity, of course, of the Lizardmen. Really one of the better unities out there in the game. I still would love to have this dude. Good, frankly, in the arena. Might not be, like, definition of meta right now, but he's good in the arena, and he's very good in PvE. We'll give him an A+. Krisk, the Ageless. Chris still has it after all these years. The AoE, decreased speed, the ally protection, increased duration, provoke. I think he's better than Grazer Iron Gut. It's unfair to compare the two, but I'm gonna anyway. Provoke, increased speed on all allies. So for a guy like this, a provoker and a buff extender and ally protector to also have an increased speed as well as a decreased speed and the decreased defense and the shield, A+ on Krisk. Ramatu, Drake's Blood. He has a good buff removal with a block active or block passive skills if they have it. It's hard to get an AoE block passive skills. There's like a few champions in the game that have it. And a lot of them, Carnage and Chalco, are spreads. He has it, and he has the setup too. Also very good in like a 9-piece feral set because of all these debuffs. I don't know, and everybody can get him, right? So I think Ramatu is, I think he's an A champion. I think he's very good. Shagor, man, very interesting champion. He's at the sleep on the A1, 75%. You can use him in like Sand Devil. And AoE decreased defense, 3-turn duration, right? But the thing about him that's so cool is all these counterattacks. Instantly attacks enemies with a default skill whenever they receive damage from poison. So he's always putting them to sleep too, right? With the A1. Cool little champion. He's not the strongest Void though, legendary out there. I'm gonna give Shagor I'm gonna give him a B-. Cool, but not my most wanted dude, you know? Sulfurion, whoo-wee. I don't know. Do I give the S? Oh, man. Let's talk about him. He's the burner with the burn activator, with the revive, with the cool passive, that everything gets better with the passive, including speed, right? And your allies' speed. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 5% for each burn placed. The thing is like he's not what he used to be in the arena because of Mercurial. So I'm going to give him an A+. but he was S tier, and he's still incredibly good. One of the more unique revivers in the game, one of the most effective revivers in the game. And again, one of the most effective stone skin poppers in the game, right? But as the meta shifts, so does my reviews. And Sulfurion is insane. I use him in Spider. I use him anywhere I need a burner. We'll give him an A+. Incredible champion. Incredible champion. Feedy, I don't have Feedy, but very good, right? He's got the decreased cooldown of all allies' active skills with the perfect veil. 4-turn cooldown, but still a nasty move, increased resistance, and then a very, very effective AoE on the A2, especially good in Hydra. Gonna give Feedy an A+. I would still rather have Sulfurion, but Feedy is very, very good in PvE. All right, moving on right along here, guys, to the Skinwalkers. Norog. Norog the pig. He has a block buffs and a decreased defense on an AoE, and then he's immune to CC debuffs. That's it. That's it. No, he has some damage mitigation as well, which is nice. That being said, he's just not one of the best champions out there. He does feel very epic-y, doesn't he, guys? He's good for progression. That's about it. We'll give him we'll throw my piggy a bone and give him a C+. Longbeard, a very good ally attacker. 4 allies join in, increase the damage, which is nice. He's the big version of Weaken. He does good damage himself as well. We're going to go ahead and give Longbeard a B+. Hackhorn Smash Lord, honestly, after his buff, they did a great job with this buff. I actually don't like what they did with the A3. The shield is not good because the damage isn't good. So the A3 sucks. But man, if it wasn't for him, I don't know if I'd ever clear Faction Wars. He is my cleanser and my block debuffs and my healer all in one ability, right? So you can't complain about what they did to that Rowling Bellow, that's for sure. I'll give him a B. He is still niche because he didn't bring a lot other than that, but that one skill is very good after the buff. Razelvark. Very interesting champion. He's fast, and his damage scales off of speed. One of the only, 3 champions in the game that has something like that. He deals nice damage. He has AoE Leech, and he brings his own increased speed and increased accuracy, well, I should say the whole team, on an AoE. Fun in areas like Fire Knight especially. I think that's his best area of the game. That being said, he's not an elite champion. I'll give him a B. Bambus. Oh, Bambus got a big panda buff, man. Whoo, they did a good job with Bambus. He's got a shield. He's got a increased duration of buffs on allies. He's got the sleep on himself where he soaks up all the debuffs. They added when that shield gets removed by an enemy attack, they added that on the buff. He'll transfer all debuffs from himself to the enemy with the highest resistance, and it can't be blocked or resisted. Woo! He has a 2-turn Enfeeble on a 3-turn cooldown, an increased accuracy, increased attack on all allies. Oh, my word. This dude, honestly, is... I never really cared for him. I know a lot of people did before the buff, but I think they buffed the hell out. This is one of my favorite buffs they did last year, or this year, 2026. I think Bambus is an A now. I think he's that good. I think he went from, honestly, I think he went from in my opinion, from a D to an A. That's a huge, one of the biggest, I would say, buffs, sheer buffs, taking a champion into viability, in my opinion, in a while. War Chief is so one-dimensional. Provoke, single target, that's it. But he's good at that one thing, like Magma Dragon. That being said, he's just not that good, frankly. And they're adding more and more provokers every day to the game too. So I'm gonna go ahead and give War Chief a I'm gonna give him a D+, honestly, just because, I don't know, man, I don't know, he's just not it for me. Do you think I'm unfair giving him a D? Let me know. Mighty Ukko, very interesting champion. I like Mighty Ukko, but he also frustrates me. He's not a very tanky reviver who has an increased speed that he's always constantly using the skill without the revive, and it's not there when you need it. He revives dead allies 40% HP and no turn meter, but it is an AoE revive, and he's got a unique A1 and A2 with buff removal and block buffs and stuff like that. Listen, in Skinwalkers, I need him for my reviver, so I use him a lot. I like him, but I just don't love him. Really cool passive, too, with the Totem Warden. He's tough to grade. I'm going to give him a B+. Brackus the Shifter needs a buff. Very cool champion, 6-time hitter, insane. Increased attack on all allies, a hard-hitting Hunter's Howl, comes back to life. Halloween champion of 2019, I think, 2020, 2019, I think. But I think he stinks, you know. Some decent raw damage from him, honestly, but he didn't age like fine wine. We're gonna give him a D+. Nishak Verminlord. To me, he's the second best bomber in all of Raid Shadow Legends, behind only Cometus, a mythical champion. He's got the ability to dish out the bombs, get that extra turn, and then decrease the detonation and delete the entire team. He has all that poisons. They become poisons after they remove the bombs. Protected at that. Very, very lethal threat. He's niche because he's a bomber, you know, but he's very good. So, and he has good, like, just overall damage, too, on his abilities. Decrease attack, too, on a 3-turn cooldown. We'll give Nishak a Christmas fusion of, like, 3 or 4 years back. We'll give Nishak an A-. I kind of want to go A or higher, but just for the nicheness of him. That being said, I'm going to give him an A because he's so good in Bommel, too. The best Bommel champion, in my opinion, out there. Gwendolyn the Silent, the Owl. I like Gwendolyn. Very nice in a 9-piece feral. She has 3 debuffs on an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. 3 good debuffs, true, right? She has an increased accuracy. She can deal some nice damage. Not like your main damage dealer, but a good support damage. Extra turn after this champion uses 3 skills. So, like, a better than Relentless built-in mechanic in her kit as well. I'm going to give Gwendolyn a B. I think she's good. Not the best, but she's good. Bo Lint, Free Walker, is the Unity champion here, and I don't have him. But he does have after the initial target attacks all enemies with a decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, and then he has the AoE stun as well. I think he's a really solid Unity, honestly. I don't think he's the strongest Unity out there in the game, but I think he's really solid. Interesting Skinwalker synergy, but I think that you're probably not using him that much out of Faction Wars. Well, I shouldn't say that. You're actually using him probably a lot, right? Any wave content in the game with a decreased defense and the stun. I just don't see, like, where he would shine as elite. But you can correct me if you're wrong, if I'm wrong, if you have him, because I don't. We're going to go ahead and I like that turn meter fill that he has on the 2 faction allies, too. Kind of Androck the Glorious-esque. We're going to go ahead and give him an A-. Snick Track. Man, when Chimera came out, this guy was in vogue for a bit. I think most people have moved away from him. I don't want to speak for everybody, but he's got a nice little kit, right? He's an interesting champion. He has the decreased attack. He's got the decreased speed. He's got the ally protection. He's got the reflect damage, and he's got the leech, and all this leech synergy and reflect damage synergy too in his kit. He's unique. I don't think he's the most powerful. I'm going to give him a B-. Samson the Masher is a champion that I don't have. He's such a cool looking champion, but he's not that great. Increased accuracy with the extra turn where he goes in and he gets an extra hit. All right, got a stun on the A1. I wish the AoE had like 100% stun on it. It feels like he's a big freaking gorilla, right? Or orangutan? I don't know. But, like, he feels like he should be mashing with the stuns everywhere to me. I'm unfortunately going to give him a C-. Kind of maybe a D+. I'd like to see a buff to Samson. I don't have him, though. Cleo Terex. She's a daily login champion. She is, but it takes like 2 years to get her or something like that. She's one of the last daily login champions, along with Eric's, I think, if I remember correctly. But she is, I like Cleoterix, I really do. She has an AoE block active skills, which is always handy. They have to be under Hex, which sucks, but it is a 3-turn cooldown. As long as you have, you can ensure Hex is on the target. She does have Hex on her A3 Sky Punishment, and she has good damage. I put her up there with like Yannica, maybe a little bit less in terms of her damage profile, which is not bad from a spirit-based legendary. I'll give Cleoterix a B-, maybe a B. Ragash. Man, Ragash, when he came out, to me, we all have our trajectories of raid, how long we've been playing, yada, yada, yada. But for me, Ragash was like the moment where I really started to notice some big-time power creep in the game. Like, oh, damn. AoE stun and a decreased defense on the same 3-turn cooldown. Nowadays, like, that's not that big of a deal. But when he was released a few years ago, it was a big deal. Also, with the strength and increased speed, he's a nice blend of tankiness. He's a defense-based damage dealer as well, and he brings an increased defense on his A1, which is really nice too. I'm going to give Ragash an A-. He's not the best like he once was, but he's really good. Great Hoof Lauratia. She got a really solid buff. She's still not like an elite champion, but fills this champion's turn meter by 5% each time a buff is an ally buff is removed, transferred, stolen, or expires. She brings a block debuffs and increased accuracy, a turn meter fill, and then the reverse of it on her A2. I think she's good, but not great. I'll give her a B. Sun Wukong, she was a D though. D to a B is a good buff. Sun Wukong, Monkey King. He was a free login champion, one of the best ever, honestly. Speed in arena battles, the Staff of Wonder that can delete entire teams, and of course, the unbeatable Wukong passive where he just keeps coming back and back and back and back and back and back. Right now, he's not as meta as he once was, but he's still a threat, and he's still extremely viable in the arena, especially, or anywhere. I like this Now You See Us. He was the first champion to have an AoE buff steal of all buffs ever added to the game with the Now You See Us. And then he places the block buffs after that, too. He's a very good champion. I'm going to give him an A+. I think he's that good still. Coronar, they give him a buff, and I think it was an incredibly underwhelming buff. I don't like what they did with Manaya and Coronar on their buffs, unfortunately. I have given a lot of credit on buffs that I like in this video. I think I've been very fair. But Coronar, it was a swing and a miss, man. This dude, he's a beast, like literally, right? He is the beauty and the beast. Kind of a cool A1 with a turn meter. They did boost the turn meter from a 5 to a 10. An AoE provoke. And then a decreased attack and a decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. Honestly, not too. Now that I read it again, it's like he's not bad. He's not bad at all. But he has the increased defense on all allies, but only if he kills an enemy. He just feels like he should be a little bit better. He's not bad. I'm gonna give him a B. Tamisha. She is the empowerment champion for Marius. That's her best utility in the game. Honestly, she's a very good champion in her own right. An AoE stun with burn. Very good. Decreased speed on targets with less than 50% turn meter. Honestly, very good A2. Burning Regret can do some decent damage. Not that insane in today's world. But if I pulled her, I'm not going to lie, I would empower Marius with her, you know. That being said, she's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and give her a... and honestly, this passive in this freeze-heavy meta, whenever an ally receives a freeze, replaces it with a burn, and then whenever an ally under a burn, whenever an ally is or an enemy is under a burn, she's immune to CC. Kind of a nifty and weird passive there. Not quite Ashnar. Anyway, we'll give her a B+, but I'd still use her to empower Marius. Leo used to define the meta. He's immune to CC when the A2 is off cooldown, and then he has an AoE weaken and True Fear and good damage, and he has unkillable, kind of like a skull crown on his passive. Good multipliers. He's not quite as good as he once was. I like the unkillable synergizing with the damage increase. He's still a threat though. I'm gonna give him an A-. He's still very good. Marius, S tier, our 4th S tier champion in the video, guys. Marius is, I mean, come on, right? He definitely belongs in the conversation. He belongs in the conversation as, frankly, one of the strongest champions in all of Raid Shadow Legends, including mythical champions. That's how good he is. He's got the enfeeble, the enemy max HP, the triple hitter, the buff duration decrease, the extra turn brings increased defense, increased accuracy on everybody. I mean, and the passive, we all know it. We're all familiar with Marius at this point. The 110 base speed. He just has everything, and he's one of the most sought-after damage dealers in the game. And the good news is, you don't have to sot too hard because you can get him right through the Marius missions. So S tier, there he is, Marius. You can use him absolutely everywhere and anywhere in the game. Growhawk the Bloodied, the worst legendary champion in the game. I don't know. I think he's in contention of that title. Lord of War, they've buffed, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. But man, he's really bad. Not a lot of damage. He does feel like a barely better than a rare. I'm going to give him an F. I think he's bad. Very bad. Krilla Witch Arm. Kind of an outdated ally attacker. She has this blinding glow. I used to love her. She was a fragment summon or a fusion way back in the day. I went for her and I loved her. But nowadays, I mean, you know, a 3-turn ally attack is nice, but 3 allies will join. I kind of rather Fat Man, like Farrakhan the Fat, than Krilla Witch Arm, who's an epic champion for those who aren't aware. She does have a nice, pretty hard-hitting war weirding on her A3. No passive, no aura. I'll give her a B-. She hasn't aged that well. Tila Gorman got a huge buff a couple years back, and it was a really good one. I still see her as more of a progression champion or a niche area champion, but she's very good. She heals, and she burns, and she hexes, and she leeches, and she's tanky. And some buff steal and stuff like that on the A1. I'm going to give her a B+, maybe A-. Daeneg Skull Reap. So I think the Orcs have the worst faction of the game. I've said that many times now. And Daeneg is another reason why. Growhawk, I gave an F. Daeneg, I give a D, right? He hates elves and he stinks. He doesn't do that much damage. He's supposed to be an anti-elf champion, which he is. I'll give him that. That's why he doesn't get an F, but he's very underwhelming. I pulled this dude and I was like, okay, let's see what he can do. And, you know, he just didn't do much. D. Artak. Artak was a free login as part of the Arbiter animated series type thing. Oh, I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. But he has burn, and he has burn activation on a different ability. He has AoE decrease attack, AoE on every move. Honestly, if it wasn't for him being able to solo Ice Golem, he still does on my account. Actually, I lied. I switched to a faster strategy recently, but he's not bad. He's not bad at all. He's not as dominant maybe as when he entered the game. I mean, all of a sudden, everybody had a super tanky AoE on every move. Burner, burn extender, and burn activator, right? So he's hard to judge for me because he's fallen off a bit, but I'm going to give him a B+, and I think that's fair. Crowcad, the Throat Ripper. My Boston accent coming out. The Throat Ripper. You got the Throat Ripper? So, Crowcad, man, he is the man. He's the man. He deals so much damage. You know, we were promised a companion champion from Packmaster Shayak for years and years, and they delivered late, but better damn late than never, because this guy delivered in a huge way. I think he's one of the best damage dealers in the game when you have Shayak on the same team. Even in, like, he's not an arena meta champion, but dude, he can even rip crap up in the arena. I'm going to give him an A+. I think he's one of the best nukers out there. Amazing fusion. Robar, oh man, this guy fell off majorly throughout the years. An AoE decreased defense champion. We've mentioned it like 3 times now, but he's kind of like Abyss or whatever. Not even quite as good as her. I'm going to give him a, or I should say worse than her. I'm going to give him unfortunately, a D+. He's like a glorified war maiden. Not a legendary, you know? Gomlock Skyhide. Gomlock has a buff steal, okay, that you got to book out to get. And then you have an AoE decreased defense and a weaken if he has full HP on, a 4-turn cooldown. Another, I hate to say it, another D. Too many conditions. Cooldowns suck. Books stink. D. Maybe D-. Awful. Awful. King Garage got actually a decent buff, though. Quad hitter. Ignore defense. They really upped the ignore defense or the damage multipliers or both on this Gore Maker. He now actually can hit hard and nuke. But like we talked about with Arrow like an hour ago, it's like, okay, another Force Affinity nuker doesn't bring anything else to the table, you know, really. He does have some stun and some, you know, some synergy on kills. But, you know, I think he's okay. I'm going to give him a C+. Packmaster Shayak, well, now that Crowcod exists, he's amazing. Honestly, he's good even in his own right, but man, of course, Crowcod and all the other little beasts, but especially Crowcad, are just are amazing with him. But he has block buffs, a good turn meter fill. He has a 3-turn cooldown where he can heal and cleanse himself. He has really good survivability. And then a taunt and a reflect damage, right? He brings a lot to the table. He's grown on me. Maybe you guys are in the same boat, but he's grown on me since I had a Crocat, right? Before that, I was like, he sucks. So I'm going to give him a B in a vacuum. Aragaz Wild King. Man, he's a very interesting Unity champion. His A1, to me, is the best part of his kit. Heals all allies with less than 50% HP back to 50% of their max HP. Honestly, it doesn't sound like much, or maybe it doesn't, but like, especially in Faction Wars, he's my only healer and my best healer, and that's a really handy heal. Especially after the red boss does that reflect damage swap thing, you know? AoE Provoke is really good. His Unity skills aren't the best, in my opinion. He has some good damage mitigation in Underdogs, though. That, you know, doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it's really solid. Overall, I'm going to give him an A-. He's pretty solid. Not the best, but not the worst. Matriarch Zarguna has the increased duration, the continuous heals, the taunt, and unkillable. 4-turn cooldown, I don't love. AoE shield, I don't love. I don't think she's that great, honestly. I'm going to give her a C-. Nogdar the Headhunter, man. I love Nogdar. I love this dude. They gave him a buff, and it was actually a really cool buff, right? Revives this champion 50% HP and a full turn meter when dead if everybody else is alive. The cool thing, too, is he has a swap HP mechanic, kind of like Embry's, with an extra turn that doesn't obviously need accuracy to pull off either, which is really handy. That all being said, though, it's just not quite enough, unfortunately, you know? It reads really good on paper, but it's not quite enough. But I think he's so cool, though, his kit. So I'm a little biased. I'm going to go ahead and give him a C+. But in my heart, he's like a B. Iron Brago, talk about a champion that hasn't aged that well, honestly. He has a really cool passive where he increases the defense of all allies by 10% of his defense. That's a really nifty passive that's very unique. And you can like pair him with really strong defense-based damage dealers and not worry about any of his stats except for his defense and get a lot of damage out of your defense-based damage dealers just with that passive. However, the rest of his kit is just good, but it's not great anymore. He has a increased defense for 3 turns on a 3-turn duration. That used to be like very hard to find, and it still is hard to find, to be fair, but now with speeds and speed tuning and buff, so many champions with buff extensions, it's just not that important anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a nice A32. I'm going to go ahead and give him a B-. Varl the Destroyer is a good Doom Tower hard champion, and you can't say that about almost any other one, right? Maybe 1 or 2 that we'll talk about. But escalating attack with the weaken from a damage dealer on an AoE is very nice. This Calamity Torrent, when you start jacking up his attack throughout longer battles like Hydra, can deal some really nice damage. He's not an elite like S-tier damage dealer, but he is good in longer battles with that escalation on that passive. So we'll go ahead and give Varl a B+. Jag Bonesaw. I've said this before, I'm not a fan of Jag Bonesaw. People do push back in the comments, though, so I respect, or at least I'll just call out that some people do like this guy. For me, the damage just isn't there, and his kit isn't that unique to me. He does have a debuff spread with 2 debuffs, which is nice, but overall, I'm going to give him a C. I'm just not a huge fan. Bells the Reckoner, not a huge fan. Was he guaranteed or was he a fragment summon? I think a fragment summon. A block buffs and a leech on an AoE can have utility in Hydra Clan Boss, but even then, I think most accounts could probably find a better option once you've been playing the game and you build your roster up a little bit. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give him a D+. I hate orcs, so sorry, buddy. Warlord is really good still to this day. He still has the quintessential lockout move, right? A full cooldown and turn meter depletion. He has really good support on his A2 with block debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown, albeit the only knock on him is the block debuffs is only a 1-turn duration, which I'm not a huge fan of. And he has a 5 put down to 4 on his Orcish. But in the arena, you only need to pull it off once. His low base speed prevents him from being a super meta champion nowadays, but he's still a really solid champion and is a threat. We're going to give him an A-. Angar got a buff, and honestly, It was kind of cool, an AoE provoke that can be 2 turns. But that's about it. Kind of like Molly Tankard with a little bit of damage, you know? Can be very good in restrictive content as a lockdown controller, but unfortunately, that's about it. So we'll give Angar a... unfortunately, we're going to have to give him a C-. He's really one of the more underwhelming Void legendaries, even after his buff. And C-, I'm sure a lot of viewers probably think that's being kind on Angar. Raka is the reviver in the Orc faction. She's good too. She has creep on the passive where she can turn meter fill at the start of each turn. She has a cleanse and an increase attack to set up your attack-based damage dealers. And then she has a block debuffs on her revive ability where she can use, even if she doesn't revive, one of those. Speed in all battles on the aura. She's nice and fast. She's good, but not great, but she's good, especially in the faction. I certainly rely on her heavily in faction wars. We're going to go ahead and give Raka an A-. Supreme Galek. They give this guy out to new accounts. Supreme6, I think, is the promo code for new accounts on Supreme Galek. Very good to get on a new account with the burn and the burn activation, the AoE, decreased speed as well. Some nice damage from him. He can take those True Fears from the head of Torment and throw them back, or not throw them back, excuse me, remove them, fully heal, grant him a turn. Very good in Hydra, very good for progression, a good burner, good damage dealer. Not my favorite champion. I know I'm going to get a little hate for that because people love this dude. But, you know, he's good, but his damage overall is, you know, on endgame, I just don't think it's quite enough. But maybe I'm just being a hater. Either way, I'm going to give him a B+ and, you know, call out the people who think he's better than I do. Con Branch Breaker. Oh, man. I had a lot of hope for this guy. Very cool. He has a very interesting mechanic to his kit where, increases champion's defense for each buff removed. What is it? Oh, ignores a percentage of the target's defense equal to 50% of the difference between this champion's max HP and any shields on him. Basically, what that means in layman's terms is, if he has a massive shield, he can nuke, especially with low HP, but it's way too conditional, in my opinion. He does have a block revive on his A1 and a counterattack on his A3, so you have to like respect him on the battlefield. That being said, let's be real, there's not many battlefields that are rocking Con Branch Breaker. He's not who you want to see coming out of a Void Shard, and unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and give my man a C+. Galliot, Son of the Pact. I don't have him, but one of my most wanted, I think he's my second most wanted legendary in the game. I think he's going to be insane. AoE stun, decreased defense, decreased turn meters without a stun, a cleanse and a heal and a shield and a fortify. But really, it's this passive. For every 10 debuffs this champion's team receives, activates, and doesn't put it on cooldown, and protects the buffs on the Blood of the Pact. So when you receive 10 debuffs on your entire team, man, Fabian dishes that out before breakfast is over. You get a cleanse and a heal and a protected shield and a protected fortify. What? I think he's insane, man. I like this guy a lot. I'm going to give him an A. I'm tempted to go A+ or higher, but I don't have him. I don't want to speak on somebody that definitively who I don't have. Demonspawn time, Prince Kymar, an oldie but a goodie, and my second legendary champion on my account. Who remembers? Everybody remembers their first. But do you remember your second? I do. Prince Kymar. AoE poison on the A1. Buff removal, sleep, and a seal of magic. Reset cooldown with a turn meter fill. Man, he still gets the job done even after all these years. He's not as meta as he was in the arena back in the day, but still a very good reset champion. Very good kind of jack of all trades. Reset whoever you want. Your Eleanorils, your Seers, whatever. We'll give him an A-. Tyrant Ixlamore has a burn on an AoE, and then has an ally protection and an increased defense. Good support and burn blend. Some damage mitigation from enemies on burn too. We'll give him a B. Countess Lix. Finally, we get to Astralon's companion champion. Removes 1 debuff from Astralon at this champion at the start of their turn. That's all you get. That's all you get for the companion. I've always wanted to love Countess Lix more than I love Countess Lix. She is haunted by this long cooldown on time dilation, which should be the highlight of her kit. It is the highlight of her kit, although her Mire of Misery is very good as well. But the cooldowns, I would love this to be a 3-turn cooldown and this to be a 6 but down to 4-turn cooldown. Kind of like a Leonardo type vibe on his A2 with this ability. Or either that or decrease the cooldown of ally skills by 2 instead of 1 turn. Either way, cool kit, but the cooldowns really hurt her. And really crappy synergy with Astralon. I'm going to go ahead and give her a C+, but I want to love her, but she needs a buff. Hefrak, very unique, cool champion. Whenever an ally is killed, you activate his A2, which hits pretty hard. You can get an extra hit as well. Ignore defense. And then he has a self-buffing ability with extra turn. He's good, not great. I'm going to give him a B+. Scored the half spawn. I did not go for the scored fusion. He has an increased attack and a hex and more hex synergy here. I hear he has good damage, especially good in areas where hex and longer battles where you can take advantage of that damage. So again, Hydra Clan boss, areas like that. I'm going to give him, again, I don't have him, but I'm going to go ahead and give Scored a, we'll give him a B-. Drexstar Blood Twin used to be all the rage, and Nithwee's brother. He's got that burn on the passive, which still makes him unique. He's defense-based. He has self-heal and sustain on his A1, which is nice and handy as well. He's available permanently in the Bazaar, the tokens, or the fragments from him as well. He's still got good potential, but nowadays, burn, there's a lot of options than there was back in the day when Drexstar was, you know, a really key component to a lot of people's teams. That being said, he can still solo content and stuff like that, so he's good. I'm going to give him a B. Candrafon, he was another champion who was the worst in the game, and then he became a meta nuker, and now he's fallen out of the meta as well, as bigger option or better options have come into play. He has really good Veil Perfect synergy where he gets extra damage, and he has a hard-hitting Butcher's Glee, and Punish Hubris can be one of the harder-hitting A1s for attack-based damage dealers in the game. No longer is the best A1 as it was back in the day, but still a viable nuker, but has fallen off. Another Force Affinity damage dealer. We'll call him a... I think of nowadays he's kind of like a B-. Sissia Flametongue, still a great burner and burn activator. Also a triple hitter on her A1, increased duration of burns, an AoE weaken, and a decreased defense if they're under, at least 2 enemies under burn. To me, she's still one of my favorite burners for PvE content in the game. I still use her in Spider and on my main team and stuff like that. So maybe quite a bit more less unique than she was upon her introduction to the game, but still very, very good. I'm going to give her an A. Vassal of the Seal is a Doom Tower champion who everybody hates except for me. I don't love this dude, but I don't hate this dude either. He has a True Fear on an AoE for 2 turns, very nice on a 3-turn cooldown with a decreased attack. And then he's got a good heal where he balance HP to the ally with the highest HP with the extra turn. Again, not that great, but you can use him in restrictive content, and he can provide some real meaningful utility to your team. I'm going to go ahead and give him a C+, and, you know, C+ is still average or so, you know. Wither the Crowned. Wither the Crowned is a really good support champion. She's very tanky. Before Marichka came along, she really had one of the best heals and cleanses in the game on this Azure Redeemer. That being said, she has still a great heal and a great cleanse and increased defense and continuous heal and leeches. She's all about healing, right? She is seeing a little bit more playtime. Not a ton. She's impaled. She's just very disgusting what happened to her here. Look at that impalement. Ouch. But she's seeing a little bit more playtime with Volcanos, you know, being so popular. I'm going to go ahead and give her a, I think an A-. Volcanos, there he is. Man, you kind of want to go S tier with Volcanos, but to me, I have him, and he's one of the more powerful champions in the game. I'm going to go A+, because to me, he's an arena champion. Now, you can absolutely use him in faction wars and areas like that, but keep in mind, he has that burn on his passive, but it's based on enemies receiving buffs or having their turn meter increase, so against wave content, he's great. In the arena, he's S tier, because you just need one ally on the team to have all of his burns not be resisted or blocked by block debuffs, which makes him so hard to contend with. He's really My favorite unity in the entire game is Volcanos, and I'm not going that far on a limb by saying that. He definitely changed what I'm able to do on my account. He gave brand new utility, which Unity should do, to every single one of my Demonspawn champions. So I love Volcanos, A+, one of the best champions out there in the game, especially in the arena with that busted passive where you're placing burns and activating burns with his passive. He can just sit there and he can kill a team without ever taking a turn. That's busted. Prava the Slitherer. I like Prava a lot, actually. She's got some echoes of some White Queen and Korra to her kit, right? She is a reviver. 4-turn cooldown, but 100% HP with a full reset of their skills. That's very good. She has the ability to transfer debuffs from allies to herself. She has a nice heal, increased defense, increased speed. It's nice to get the increased defense on a reviver with the increased speed and the, just a very unique kit, right, is what I'm trying to say. She's fast. I think she's really good. Speed in all battles. I think she's super underrated. I'll give her an A. Mortu Macabre has that peril. He's got the peril. Mortu is a great option for players who just, you want to deal maybe with an annoying force affinity damage dealer. He has ignore block damage, ignore shield, and a block revive, ignore 100% of enemy defense. You don't have to put Savage or Stone Skin. You put him in 6-piece Savage or Lethal. Put him in 6-piece Stone Skin, and it'll help you out in the arena. He has some limited viability outside the arena, but the cooldown really does hurt him on the Falling from Grace. He's so niche that I'm going to go ahead and give him a... he's a tough guy to grade, honestly. I'll give him a B-. Kind of a one-trick pony, but that trick is pretty good. Lord Shazar. Man, he's an interesting bomb champion. They increased his bomb value. His bombs actually hit pretty hard. He brings his own increased attack and an extra turn, so you can really make sure that you're getting the most out of those bombs. And it's going to be a one-turn detonation if the attack is critical. I think that he's actually a really solid bomb option. He's not the best out there, certainly, but I think I would make an argument that he was the second best. He's the second best bomber after Nishak, with all apologies to Gaius the Gleeful, who we'll talk about in a bit here. He also has the speed in arena battles at 32%. Exceptional, right? I mean, it's him and Carnage. Carnage beats him by 1%, and that's a mythical. So I think that, very niche champion, but I think that Lord Shazar is, I don't know, maybe a B-. Duchess. Man, I love and I hate Duchess. I love her A2, the perfect veil, the great setup. I love her ethereal ways. I love her shield. I love her aura. I don't love her revive. I don't love the no turn meter revive, honestly. Now, back in the day, I loved it, but now there's so many options for revivers in this game that she's still very, very good, especially with Volcanos, especially in a very force arena meta. But you can use her anywhere in the game, obviously. I'm going to give Duchess an A still, which sounds like I was talking smack about her. She's still very good, but man, she's not an A+ or beyond, even with Volcanos, because of the damn revive. Like, everything about it is great, but no turn meter at all. Not to hate, but it bothers me, obviously. But A is still great. Helikath. Man, Helikath was the meta for a while, right? For a hot minute. A block damage for 2 turns that gets replaced with an increased defense is very nice. A big shield, decent damage. And ignore block damage, ignore block shield and block damage on his A1, where he has built-in counterattacks as well. You could do a lot worse, honestly, especially in this force meta. So I think that Helikath we're going to give a B+ to. Cheshire Cat, really good damage dealer, an elite damage dealer. Another champion, the second that we talked about so far in the entire video, whose damage after Razelvarg, whose damage also scales off of speed. We always look for 2 sources of damage from our champions, but from attack-based damage dealers, we also look for survivability. He has that as well, with a perfect veil on the block damage. So very, very good champion. Speed in all battles as well. Speed aura from your damage dealer. We're going to give him an A. Graco's Turn Drake. Don't have him. AoE ×2, decreased defense, block buffs, immediately a beast in Hydra. I didn't need him, didn't go for him, but man, he's solid. Block damage and an increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. We're going to give him an A-. Krutraxa. Man, I used to love Kutraxa. I think she needs a buff, honestly. I think she needs a buff. I like that A1. I wonder how nasty it would be to make the A1 ignore block damage and unkillable. I think for a Void freaking Legendary, I think it should, honestly. Either that or the A2. But to me, she's got a really strong kit, especially areas like Fire Knight. But for a Void, I want to see more viability. I want to see a buff to Kutraxa. So I'm going to give her a C+. It's not a knock on her, what she does well, but she's very niche, and she no longer has a spot in the arena. She has a Revive on Death. I would like to see, like, a block damage or something stronger than Revive on Death, you know? So I'm going to give her a C. And if we Blood Twin, another kind of underwhelming Void Legendary. He has Final Doom, which makes it so that everybody he kills can't be revived, but just not enough damage. And the sad thing is they already went in and buffed his damage multipliers. That being said, he's still kind of a fun champion. He is a threat that has to be dealt with. He has good attack, but not great multipliers. No ignore defense anywhere in his kit. I felt like there was an opportunity here to make him a much bigger threat, but they didn't do it. So I think, unfortunately, he's kind of a C again, a C champion. Lammasu, well, now this is a beast champion, right? 115 speed puts her as one of the fastest champions in the entire game. She has speed in all battles. You can use it everywhere. She's immune to sheep, which is incredible. She has decreased turn meter when she puts her debuffs on. She has a mini Shuzen in that turn meter boost, 50%. Reset cooldowns, remove debuffs with intercept, block buffs, true fear. I mean, come on. Decreased speed on bosses. Honestly, I think she's incredible. I'm going to give her an A. I think she's a very, very good champion. And you can use her in the arena, and you can use her almost anywhere in PvE as well. Chalco! We talked about him earlier. He has that block passive skills with the debuff spread, taking all debuffs. It's a full debuff spread. Grants an extra turn if you kill an enemy, and AoE, increase accuracy, decrease duration of buffs, chance of removing stone skin, stuff like that. And then when he's immune to CC, when anybody attempts to CC him, he instantly activates that A2. Super strong, very good in A. All right, moving to Undead Hordes, plural hordes. All right, there's a lot of them here, so let's move. Rapid fire. Actually, let me take a drink. All right, Crypt King Graal. An oldie and kind of a goodie. He's not bad. He's got an AoE burn. He's got an AoE freeze, right? But, you know, nowadays, you need a little bit more than that, you know, to really carve out a place in the meta. I'm going to go ahead and give Crypt King Graal a, you know, you can kind of build him to solo some content and stuff as well. But I'm going to go ahead and give him a B-. Rhodos! Oh, man, my favorite damage dealer in Raid. My favorite nuker in Raid, man. Rhodos, the Lost Groom, is an absolute phenom. For a single target damage dealer, he can change the trajectory of a match in the arena. He is mainly an arena champion. He can do some good damage still for a single target damage dealer. But he powers up with the A2, and he just deletes with the A3. Extra turn, great in Merciless gear. He's got the survivability, failsafe, great with Ward of the Fallen, great with Siphi, obviously, with the cleanse. We'll give Rhodos an A+. If he was better in PvE, we'd give him an even higher score, but he actually got a nerf back in the day. He used to, like, build a one-shot ice golem and stuff. Saito. Saito is based on a content creator who does, like, sword reviews, like, obviously. Very cool aesthetic champion on this dude, kind of an undead samurai. That being said, I really don't like him in the game. He does not do that much damage, not great multipliers, conditional AoE. Sadly, I'm gonna give him a D. Sorry, guys. Elagaius, even after the buff, didn't go far enough, right? He does have AoE buff removal. They upped the turn meter as well. It's still a 5-turn, but down to a 4-turn cooldown. Kind of annoying to get rid of, especially in wave content, but I did not like the buff to Elagaius. I'm going to go ahead and give him a D+ still after the buff. Morrigan, man, she's good against those chests in Grim Forest with the heal reduction. She's great against Amos the Lunar with the heal reduction on that passive, protected at the start of the turn. She's the best heal reduction champion in the game, in my opinion. And she's got the Velamancy or whatever the heck. Kind of a miniature version of a Lysandra A3. Honestly, stealing all buffs from an enemy. Honestly, I think she's a very underrated champion. She looks really cool too. Like, I love the aesthetics on her. I'm gonna give her a B+. Scartorsis. He's not that bad. Increased attack, increased crit rate, and then a cleanse with a heal and a turn meter, and then the AoE buff steal on the A1. Honestly, with a 109 speed, you could do a lot worse. I'm going to give Scartorsis no damage there or anything like that, obviously, but I'm going to give Scartorsis a B. Bad Alcazar. Malice. We get the cleanse, the continuous heals, and the poisons. What more do you want? Hopefully not much, because that's all he's got. Now, he does have the damage, the extra damage against targets under poisons, where over the years, this has gotten better and better and better, because 20% more damage is a lot of freaking damage, right? So, oddly, the Prey Upon is one of the main reasons he's used now, where for the beginning years, it was just Malice being such a unique and powerful ability. It still is powerful, not as unique as it once was. Put it all together, though, you got a really solid champion. We'll give Battle Khazar, still to this day, I'll give him a B+. Blood Gorged. Man, he's an old school champion, but he's got that 100% ignore defense. There's only a few of them. We've got Morta Macabre's Peril. We've got Royal Huntsman's Dead Aim. We've got Decapitate, right? There's not that many 100% ignore defenses. And it's a block revive. It's a big threat, Decapitate. But, you know, one skill on cooldown isn't that bad either. But that being said, I don't think he's that great. You know, nasty ability, but not that great. I'm going to give Blood Gorged a C+. He's very niche, but he's good at what he does. Ultimate Death Knight, UDK. I think UDK is still really good, honestly. He's still very annoying in the high resist, no speed build, but you know he's very, very, very unique with the 2 awesome to die. Even the didn't need him in PvE content allows him to solo some content. He still provides utility to your team as well. It's not all the passives. So UDK, I'll give him a B+. Knave of Hearts, I really like Knave of Hearts. I think she's my second favorite heal reduction champion, right? For single target against that what is the damn name of that boss? Sorry, it's escaping my you know, the chest. Mimic. Anyway, increased defense, equalize HP levels, great heal reduction, stealing 2 buffs from everybody, taunting, unkillable, 3-turn cooldown. I think Knave is very, very good. B+. Sanguine Maria. Sanguine Marie. Damn it. I shouldn't do that with my voice. Sanguine Maria, man. I don't know how I feel about Sanguine Maria. Like, I think she's very capable, very good, very niche. I always make the joke that you need, like, your calculator handy. You need a notepad tracking the turns and the buffs and the numbers and the 3 and the divisible by. That all being said, listen, I think that people generally don't love her. But I actually do like her a lot. I don't use her outside of Faction Wars. I do use her on my main Faction Wars team, though. She's got a little bit of Rotos 5 where she can delete with single target, you know? But she has other effects, that, like buff removal, for example, as well. She can smack, like, really hard if you get the turns right. I'm going to give Sanguine Maria a B+. Mashald, man. This guy used to be the worst champion in the game, then he was the best, then he got power crept a little bit throughout the years, but he's still very good. Having an increased speed, increased crit damage on all allies with a true fear and a leech on all enemies with an extra turn is so powerful. And the potential AoE in the A1 and the hard-hitting A3. I think Mashal is actually a really solid champion. I'm going to give him a B+. Nethril. Here's a champion that got power crept. Back in the day, he was the rage, but kind of like a Rosin Scarhide, he needs a buff big time. I can't believe him and Altan and Rosin, I can't believe they haven't touched these champions yet. He would be on the top of my list. He's got a lot to like. Decreased turn meter by 75%, AoE stun, poisons on the A1, but he's been crept big time over the years, and he's so slow, 94 base speed, he's so squishy as well. I'm going to give Nethril a C+. I would love to see a buff, because there is a lot of promise and a good foundation to this kit, but he's kind of a wave champion nowadays. That's about it. Suzerain Katon, or an old school Demon Lord Poisoner, you know? Suzerain Katon is an AoE weaken, chance of a decreased defense, 4-turn cooldown. I hate it all, honestly. I would love to see another buff. Didn't they buff him a while back. I want to see another buff to this dude. I like the A1, but honestly, that's about it. I'm going to give Suzerain a C. Harvest Jack's going to get a buff, I think, next month, I believe. But right now, he's just been crept big time. Not even crept, just, yeah, I guess. He used to be cool back in the day, like manipulating what the enemy's team is trying to do with this A2 ability. Very unique, very cool, and such a cool aesthetic. My man has the skulls of the starting champions on his necklace. That's freaking dope. But he's just not it right now. Now we'll see. The buff has already been announced that there's going to have one, but not what it is. So right now, though, I think he's a D+. Tribune Heraclides. He is the Unity, and I don't have him, but I do want him. 100% ignore defense. Add another one to the list. He has the conditional revive on that same ability. He deals good damage. He's a defense-based damage dealer. And then he has protected shield, instant activation if there's 2 allies on the same team. He has immune to block revive, which is kind of nice and albeit niche. Whenever he's revived, increase the damage inflicted by this champion by 20%. Very interesting. He's an interesting Unity. If you guys have him, let me know what you think of him. I love the aesthetics, though. I love that sword, man. So cool. I'm going to give him an A-. Lord Entertainer Fabian. I'm going to give him S tier. My 5th or 6th or 4th, I think 5th S tier ranking. Listen, he's, of course, best in the arena, where he is elite, elite, elite. Just one of the absolute best alongside like a Marichka, one of the best legendaries in the game. But even outside of the arena, he is very, very good. The petrification, the true fears all over the place, elite control, and the remove CC, I mean, that is just busted. With the speed in all battles, I think he's just one of the best champions out there in the entire game. Sivy the Lost Bride. She's fallen off a little bit, but she's still excellent, excellent. From that A1, one of the best controls in the game with that sleep, the A2 with all those great buffs, a little bit of turn meter there, not quite enough to be a booster. They did nerf her a few years back and changed the 5 to a 6-turn cooldown. That did hurt her a little bit in PvE. That being said, she still has a great single target revive, great synergy with Rhodos, and great base stats. Just an amazing champion. I still think she's A+. She does have more counters in the arena, obviously, but that doesn't mean that she's not still elite. Nekret the Great is a great ally attacker and protector, really. Very unique champion with all this protection at the start of the round. Great at protecting your squishy champions. Great synergy with champions like Alil, who get turn meter for every buff on them, but need the protection. So he synergizes well with attack-based or squishier champions that don't have that Cheshire Cat failsafe, that Rhodos failsafe built into their kits, right? And then he's just great in PvE and PvP. I'm going to give him an A. Euro Soul Cage. Well, when we talked about Varl, I said there's another Doom Tower hard champion that's really good. I was talking about my man Euro Soul Cage. He's very good. You know, his passive is what he's known for. The 75% poisons. He's able to solo so many bosses, especially Scarab King. He's super tanky too, but he has a robust kit even outside of that. Strength and ally protection. Really good control with the A2. I'm going to give him a B+. LMA. Man, that play date is one of the hardest hitting abilities still out there in the game. Very, very, very hard hitter. I like this champion a lot. Very good in areas like Fire Knight. She's one of the best Fire Knight damage dealers because not only does she have those hard hitting abilities and a triple hitter on the A1, but she has that heal reduction and the decreased defense on the A1 as well. So she brings the 2 most important debuffs, I guess, along with decreased speed for Fire Knight. So very, very good there. Cool passives. I'll give LMA niche, but fun and good. We'll give her a B+. Vlad the Nightborn. Man, I think they did a great job buffing Vlad, and he doesn't really get much credit. He was a fusion back in the day, or fragment summon, but they did a great job. They really did. An AoE decreased defense and a block active skills. I think they buffed him the same time as Vergamkar. I think both those buffs were good, and neither of these champions get any love, right? He's Constantine's companion champion. He has some sustain in his kit, or protection in his kit with the perfect veil, but this ability is very good. You don't see block active skills on a 3-turn cooldown that often in the game. He has that, and then he has this great steel turn meter on his A2. It is a faction conditional, but still, you're going to hit some of these factions, and if not, you're just going to reduce turn meter. He has that leech. I think he has a really good kit, but he's not an elite, and frankly, he's probably not the Void you want to see coming out of the Void Shard either, the Void Legendary. So we'll give him a B minus, to be fair. B minus, but he's cool. He's fun. Valkanon's cool, but you can't run him on any teams because he'll kill your companions. So when you put him on a full auto, you have to go in there and shut off what should be the highlight of his kit, because he'll just start killing everybody on your squad, right? This ability, the secret skill, Malice Unleashed, you need to kill an ally to unlock it. So great things, fun things you can do with a Sun Wukong or a Nogdar the Headhunter, because this is a block revive, ignores everything except for Stone Skin, basically, and you steal all buffs as well. Can't be resisted. It smacks, but the setup is costly, aka you gotta kill somebody. Very cool champion. A lot going on with his passive too. There's a lot more to his kit, but we'd be here all day. I give Valkanon a B+. He's fun, but kind of niche. Gaspard the Accused, kind of newish, kind of a fun champion here. He has an AoE provoke, increase defense and shield on all allies as well. 3-turn cooldown, not bad. And then he has a block revive on his A3. Doesn't hit that hard. That's the only knock on him. But whenever an enemy is revived, he instantly activates that You Stand Accused, the block revive ability that ignores block damage, which is great in this meta. The thing is, he just doesn't hit quite hard enough, unfortunately, even with the 1600 defense on a defense-based damage dealer, to make him as big of a threat as he should be. That being said, he's still got a really nice kit, and if you can start getting empowerment, or if you're lucky enough to get a big awakening on him, he does become a really elite option as a damage dealer and a support all in one. We're going to give him an A. All right, moving on to Dark Elves. Ray, an oldie who needs a buff. Put her in the Nethril category. AoE, AoE, AoE. I love this A3, but that cooldown is costly. And the multipliers haven't aged that well. Not bad, but not as elite as she used to be. She does have speed in dungeons, which is nice on the aura. We'll give Ray a, we'll give her a B minus. Lanicus, an ally attacker, kind of an old school ally attacker. She has this extra turn chance that can screw up your speed tunes. I do like her ally attack though. It's only 3 allies and it is a 4-turn cooldown, but I love the turn meter fill and the increased duration of all ally buffs. So there are some comps that use her on like a Titus Wixwell type team, right? She can be very formidable in the right team, in the right comp, but outside of that, she's okay. We'll give her a B minus. Foley, man, I like Foley a lot. He's got the AoE block revive, right? He's got the quad hitter and another quad hitter, great for Fire Knight, decreased defense on that A1. And then whenever anybody tries to CC him, he'll cleanse and boost his turn meter and heal too. Very fun, not meta, but very fun. I use him in Fire Knight. I did a video on him like a week or 2 ago. I think Foley is... I think he's a B, and probably people would say I'm a little bit too high on him, but I do like him a lot. Noct the Paralyzer. I was hoping for more from Noct, honestly. He has an AoE sleep and a couple poisons. He's a protector and a healer, and he has healers based on his poisons every time it ticks on an enemy. I thought he was going to heal more than he did, though. It seems like he should be healing like insane amounts, but it wasn't enough, and it comes in small increments. That he's just not a reliable healer. That being said, he does have continuous heals as well. I like him, but I'd be lying if I sat here and said that I love him. So Noct, I'll give him a B minus. Truoth is actually an elite healer, but that's about it. A protector and elite healer. He has ally protect and a great heal here. He has perfect veil. A counterattack and a strengthen, which leads into heals, more heals. Only himself, though. They're a little selfish there. But the reason that makes him an elite healer is the Transmute Pain. Decrease the cooldown of Animus Infusion, his big heal, right? By 1 turn whenever he loses 10% of his max HP. And he's an ally protector, so even if he's not getting attacked, he's going to lose his HP. So that makes him one of the better healers out there. That being said, that's about all he's going to give you. We'll give him, he's tough to grade. I'll give him a B-. Xenomorph. Well, he's got all the poisons. He's got the perfect veil. He's got the good damage. He's got the infest, the only champion in the game to have it. He's a really good addition to the game, Xenomorph. They've really upped their game. I got to hand it to Plarium. They have a way to make these new champions intriguing and lend utility to almost every account in the game, and Xenomorph certainly did that. He's a real viable endgame champion. What else can you ask for? I'll give him an A-. Xavier has the Poison Rain, the Bellinor Romance, and the instant activation of poisons with the block revive, right? Very good in areas like, anywhere you want to speed farm. She's in some of the faster teams and Ice Golem speed farms with Bellinor. I prefer, though, some of the other poison activators over Xavier. I don't know why. I've just always been that way, you know? She's pretty squishy, which isn't the end of the world, but she's capable at what she does. We'll give her a B-. Marinix. AoE Hex and a decreased defense on a 4 book down to a 3, and then another AoE that can deal some decent damage, some conditional unkillable stuff as well as ignoring unkillable and shield, provided they're under Hex. She's not my favorite. Some people do like her. Her damage is okay to good, but not great. I'm just not huge on her. I like her better than like an Abyss, but I think she's been power crept a lot, Abyss. So I think that, and I like her better than Robar. So we'll give her like a C+. Vizier Ovelis. He's good for spreading bombs, but honestly, he's not what he used to be. He's not what he used to be. This Accursed Blades was everything in the back in the day of Raid, where you could extend all the poisons and just have infinite poisons on the clan boss. They'll never fall off. Nowadays, it's not that big of a deal to have an ability like this. There's a lot of champions that have abilities like that. The A2 is all right, and the debuff spread is nice, but it's 2 random debuffs. We talked about champions that have all debuffs, like Chalco or a Mikey. You know, like, so I think that Vizier has not aged well at all. I'd love to see a rework or a buff for Vizier Ovelis. I'll give him a, sadly, I'll give him a C- nowadays. Chromax Moonblood, a Doom Tower champion who's so trash, man. An AoE provoke on a 5-turn, book down to a 4-turn cooldown, turn meter fill on the A2 for himself. Really, really crappy F. Swarm Speaker Zyslick? I always struggle with that one. He is the Unity. I do not have him. He has buff steal, that can't be resisted on his A1. Extra turn if you kill an enemy. I heard he hits decently hard. He has more damage from the A3. My thing is, though, I'm not saying he stinks. I think he's good. But I kind of like unities that aren't just based around damage. That's my own preference, you know? I like unities, or at least raw damage, right? Like Volcanos damage, I'm not going to complain about. So I generally like the support unities. That being said, we'll ignore 12% of target's defense if they have no buffs. Allies receive less damage from enemies that don't have any buffs. 30% less damage if they do have buffs. Really good blend of damage, as well as buff steal and just kind of, you know, like every other unity, making your team better as well. Again, I don't have them, but I would rank them an A-. Noldula the Gloaming. She's the newest fusion champion at the time of this recording, and I think she's rather good. I like the direction that they're going with buff removal being added to a lot of the Revivers kits. I think it's really powerful, really good. I like she has decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown on an AoE from a Reviver. Her Revive is good as well. Shield, 50-50, and then she has the turn meter effects and that great Enfeeble on the A1 or Weaken if you're in PvP or PvE. I'm going to go ahead and give Noldua I think I'm going to give her an A. I think she's really good. Astrolith. She's got a 2-bomb detonation after 1 turn that can't be resisted. That's cool. She has a exchange HP. That's cool. She has a turn meter fill on a random ally 50%. All allies by 50% if the attack is critical on the A1 on the Assault Leader. That's cool. But at the end of the day, she just has a couple bombs. You know? You can cleanse them. It's not like they instantly activate. I think she's probably I don't know. She's not awful, but she's so niche. I'll give Astrolith sadly, I'll give her a C-. Queen Ava got a really nice buff. Energy Drain is a nice kind of wave killer type move where you can reset the cooldown of this champion's skills if you kill a target. And then she has this nice Ancient Curse now where she ignores 50% of target's defense on a block revive. No ignore Stone Skin or block damage. That prevents her from being a meta option right now. But I don't know. It's still a threat to be dealt with, kind of like a Mezimel, but not quite as good. I don't know. She's tough. I'll give her a B-. A lot better than she once was. Ghostborn. Ghostborn has an AoE decreased defense that can't be resisted, with an increased attack too. It's a nice, unique move, albeit a 4-turn cooldown when booked instead of a 3. AoE heal reduction, which is nice too, and another decreased defense on his A1. He's not quite as good, in my opinion, as he used to be. It's nice that you don't have to build him with accuracy to get that decreased defense. I'll give him a B-. Rule the Huntmaster. You know, I was really excited about this guy with his passive, Marked Quarry, where you can really have strong effects that synergize with Hex on enemies, but his damage just isn't there. His damage is not there, unfortunately. Almost 1700 base attack. He brings increased accuracy and a Hex, which is nice. 4-turn cooldown, which isn't so nice. I want to like this guy, but unfortunately, I'm not a fan. I'm going to have to give him a D. I hate to do it. Altan of the Shell, I am not a fan. He's Oella's a companion champion. He's so selfish. I don't love his damage. AoE sleep, I'm not getting excited about. I'm going to go ahead and give him an D+. Dark Elves, by the way, in my opinion, is the second worst faction after the Orcs. Blind Seer, the other reviver, after Nodula. She got a buff, and it was a good buff. She got a heal, a block debuffs, and a shield on a 3-turn cooldown. Very, very nice. And then she has a much better revive. They added, I think, some turn meter. It's good. She has block damage. It's 1 turn. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it again, she's good, but she's not great. She is super fast, 115. I wish she had a cleanse on the A2 as well, right? I mean, Pythion's got it. Why can't she? She's a void. There's things to like here. There's things to not like. I think she's like a B+. Lydia the Death Siren, A+. Still to this day. She got the unique passive, of course. She's got the Chimera Trial Ticker, A3, which has other utility, of course, as well. You can block active skills. Very nice. But the Siren's Will is just so strong still to this day. Getting the decreased defense, weaken, strengthen, and increased speed on one skill is, I mean, you can use that anywhere and everywhere. Less seen in the arena nowadays, but anywhere PvE. And that still keeps her as an extremely powerful option anywhere inside the game. 9-piece protection, get some extra damage from your allies as well. Very, very strong. Visix the Unbowed got a big buff a couple years back, and it was a good one. She's a daily login champion, of course. She has an AoE decreased speed, an ally protection, AoE provoke, and a shield. Turn meter on the A1 as well. A lot to love about Visix the Unbowed. I think her utility, especially for when you get her in the game, can help you then and scale into the future as well. Very good in areas like Hydra, especially, or any wave content in the game. She can really help you out for a long, long time. I think Visix is an A-, just because their end game is not on the same level as someone like a Lydia, but still very, very good. Mithrala Lifebane. Whoo! Oh, man. Mithrala is exceptionally good. I'm actually going to give her an A+. I think she's that good. Her passive is still so unique, so powerful, especially in the arena. She's not like a meta arena champion, but she's like one notch below. She got that great cleanse, strengthen, and a shield on one ability, the increased defense, the hex, the increased attack on the other ability, poisons on the A1, which do come in handy from time to time. One of the reasons she's not meta at all in the arena, by the way, is because she's just a block damage trigger on Marichka with that A1 poison, which you're going to have to use eventually. I think if she didn't have that poison on the A1 in the arena, I think that maybe she would have a bit more of a place with that passive where she can convert her resistance to accuracy or vice versa, you know? So I think she's very strong, though. Tremaria. I love the buff that they gave Tremaria. I think she's a low-key sleeper now. A speed in all battles, AoE on the A1 with decreased speed or a fear, an AoE stun on the A2. After attacking, decrease enemies' turn meter. I mean, a nice move, albeit a 4-turn cooldown. They came in here, they really buffed the Beyond Emotions A3. Now it's a cleanse, but they added a block debuffs. And she has turn meter fill on the same ability, extra turn meter fill, and extra turn meter fill per debuff removed into type of debuff removed. She's immune to CC. She's filling turn meter whenever she gets CCs. There's a lot to like about Tremaria. I think she's, like I said, under the radar champion. I'm going to give her a B+. Supreme Kale is the king of poisons that can't be resisted, right? Honestly, not a bad Supreme champion, but not the best in the world either. AoE weaken. You don't need accuracy on him. Nothing can be resisted on Supreme Kale. That being said, he's placing poisons. He's not activating them. He's got a kind of a meh A3 in my opinion. I think he's okay. B-. Fatalist Blade Master, I don't have. I kind of wish I did, though. Kind of one of those weird champions. Everybody complains about the damage, but when I go against Fatalists, sometimes I get deleted. I'm not going to lie. Big ignore 50% of target's defense. I think that Fatalist from the Monster Hunters event, I think that Fatalist is a very tricky champion to grade. I don't think there's a lot of like viability outside some niche arena. So unfortunately, I'm going to say a C+. But I will say I respect Fatalists. All right, moving on to Knights Revenant, where we have a lot of legendaries. I think the most legendaries in the game in this faction. Okay, Narma got a big buff, actually. She's actually really good now. It's crazy to say that. Decrease attack, leech, activation of poisons, placing poisons, 3 of them, and poison sensitivity. Increase duration of all debuffs on the target, 75%. I mean, there's a lot to like here. Whenever an ally is attacked, we're placing poisons on the attacker. Man, I'm going to give her a B+ now. Gaius the Gleeful, AoE sleep, and then a bomb. But the 2-turn detonation, it's just, I mean, I can't deal with a 2-turn detonation in most areas of the game, you know? I do like that you have instant detonation on the A3, but you still have to get around to that turn, right? And then we have the instant detonation upon death. A cool bomber, but honestly, not my favorite anymore. I liked him better when he came out. I'm going to give Gaius a C+. Shemnath, the Statue of Liberty. All right. Shemnath is okay. Has an interesting A2, but really the Humble Then Broken, which is like such a cool animation. She kind of like points the staff like like she's like shunning you with it. Removes buffs, and then it has ignore defense. It doesn't hit that hard, though. I think that's really the problem here. And beyond that, there's not much going on in the kit. Such a cool design, though. I wish she was a little bit better. I'm going to give her a C+. I like her, but I just wish she was a little bit more viable. Eric's HP-based login champion, buff steal, stun on the A2, and then the ally protection and that counterattack, and a really cool heal and turn meter fill synergy thing going on the passive too. Eric's is a cool, tanky, HP-based damage dealer who you can surprise your opponent. You can throw her in a stun set, can deal some damage all over the place in the game. I'm going to give Eric, she's not the best HP-based damage dealer in the game, but she is a threat and she can smack. I'll give her a B. White Queen and Korra. White Queen, man, she's still very good. Very tanky, a lot of speed, cleanse, turn meter fill, Narcissus wife, reset cooldowns on the revive, 75% turn meter, 3-turn cooldowns, soaking up the debuffs. Oh man, there's a lot to love. Speed in all battles on the aura. I think that White Queen and Korra is an A+. Very good champion. Gaiath, the Truth Shield. I have Gaiath. I got her recently. And I hate to say it, but she's good, but not great in my opinion. Increased duration of ally buffs is very nice. Reflect damage, ally protection, increased resistance, strengthen, 3-turn cooldown. She brings a lot to the table, you know, which is nice. A lot of things that are kind of hard to find and maybe a little bit more niche. And she has a kind of a cool passive with a decreased crit rate. But I don't know. Like, where are we using her? You know? I guess you could probably say anywhere, Ash, you know? But Not a bad champion, not my favorite champion, B-. By Stophis, the big teal guy who feels like was designed on a game that was like not Raid Shadow Legends. Doesn't it look like, I think this is my worst design in the game. I don't know why, but it just looks like gimmicky to me. Cut to the artist who actually designed him watching this video right now. Now my number one enemy. I don't mind the color scheme, but just like something about that face or something. I don't know. What's up? What's up, Stophis? Not a great champion. AoE inflicts a critical hit against enemies under block active skills, which he does have on the A3, but that's about it. You know, 4-turn cooldown, not ideal. Not a lot of damage despite the 1800 base attack. I think they even buffed the multipliers, not enough for my liking. I'm going to give him a C. Fia the Tomb Angel, the first Doom Tower hard champion. Not a fan. I never have been. I know that potentially she can deal a lot of damage with hexes and all this crap, but man, I would love to see them buff her, but they won't buff any Doom Tower hard legendary in the game. I think she's pretty lousy, honestly. Sorry if you're a fan. She looks incredible, but, you know, that's about it. I'm going to give her a D. Sorry to be so mean, but I don't think she's good. Verself the Grim. I don't know. Not a great champion, but you can do worse. Increased defense, ally protection is really good team support, mixed with a decently hard-hitting AoE on the Reign of Sorrow. Not like gonna wow you, but can be some good damage in niche areas of the game that are HP only or something like that. A little bit of a provoke there as well, which is nice on that passive. I think Verself is not awful, but not great. C+. Mother Cybele. She's one of the fastest champions in the game, 115 base speed. They don't go any higher than that, at the time of this recording at least. When we see a Void Legendary, though, guaranteed we're going to see some big speed numbers. Do you think they'll ever go to 120? I don't think so. I think 119 would be the cap. Anyway, speed in all battles. AoE, decreased speed on the A1. Fills his champion's turn meter as well. Revive on death, increased defense. Good in some areas that are niche, like Sand Devil. Maybe good in Hydra, in a curse set or something like that. You can get pretty creative with a kit that's this unique. That being said, I don't think she's, you know, top of her class in any area. But good base stats, good aura, decent kit. I'll give her a B-. Losen Kaleth. I don't have him, but Nice Revenant is my favorite faction, so I really want him. Very cool champ, very unique. He's got all kinds of instant turns and block damage. Very tough to kill. I know that because I go against him in the waves and faction wars, and I hate it. Equalize HP and turn meter levels. Only champion in the game to have that ability. And debuff transfer, all kinds of stuff going on here. I think Losan is really cool, honestly. I'm going to give him an A-, but I don't have him, so I'm kind of playing it safe, giving all those unis that I think are good, but I don't have A-. Maybe an A, though. Mad Hatter. I don't have him. They're bringing back old fusions at some point this year. Mad Hatter is going to be my number one dude to go after. I think he's really good. AoE Hex and Weaken, and a great manipulator, buff debuff manipulator with turn meter fill. But this passive, every 10 turns taken by allies, you get a big heal, True Fear. What a good champion. What a good champion, Mad Hatter. Debuff spread on the A1. He does so much. Kind of all different things, too, with really good base stats. I'm going to give Mad Hatter an A. Venalicia Thrallmother. Man, before Naldula came around, she was kind of setting the new trend. Hilvi, she was setting the new trend. AoE, remove buffs, block buffs, decrease defense, 3-turn cooldown. That's very good from a reviver. An AoE revive as well. Increase cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns on a revive with a pain link on that passive. Turn meter fill, like a built-in mastery there. Why am I totally drawing a blank, man? My mind, after 3 hours of recording, is cracked right now. Why am I totally not... Do I really have to go look at it, dude? Am I really going to do that? I am going to do that. Why can't I think of Timely Intervention? Come on, man. She's a built-in kind of Timely Intervention vibe going on there, too. Very freaking cool. Very cool. All right, where were we? Venalicia. I'm going to give her an A. I think she's very good. Tomb Lord. Decrease defense, decrease attack. 4-turn cooldown, but still a very good move. Has other stuff going on there. Decrease turn meter of enemies less than 50%, HP of 100%. 4 poisons on everybody if the attack is critical. Decrease speed on the A1 on a triple hitter. Tomb Lord is maybe a little bit niche, but he brings a very, very robust kit that can help you out in quite a few situations. I'll give Tomb Lord an A-. Theodore the Savant. Such a good champion, right? He's placing the poison sensitivity, brings an increased speed, and then activates everything. AoE decreased speed is if you wanted more on that A1. Theodore is like the jack of all trade of an activator and then some. Can really empower your account to do some pretty cool things. I'm going to give him an A. Calvalax. His claim to fame is basically 4 poisons on all enemies for 2 turns at the start of each round. That's it. But that's a really unique and very powerful move. Not as powerful in the arena with Mercurial set. He already had to go around Stone Skin. So I think he's being phased out a bit in the arena. But in terms of poisons on waves, look no further. I'll give him an, I don't know, B+. Niche, but very good. Top of the class, that is one niche thing. Walking Tomb Drang, man, I think this guy's incredibly underrated. He's got an irresistible burn on a 3-turn cooldown and an irresistible, or not irresistible. He doesn't need accuracy. Instant activation of burns on his A1. I mean, in a great heal on his A3, one of those equalizes. Man, I think that he's a tremendous champion. I really like Joachim Tundrang. I think he's a B+, maybe an A-. I'm going to give him an A-. Alatreon Blade Master was a Monster Hunter limited champion. You can't get him anymore. He's very good. He's got 110 base speed. He's got protected on, if there's a boss present, everything he does is protected. Increased defense, shield, block debuffs, cleanse as well. A lot to like about this dude. Very strong. I'm going to give him an A-. Skeletor. Man, I think this Skeletor is underrated. I know, I'm crazy. That being said, he's not a great champion. But I like what he brings. Increased accuracy, stealing block debuffs, okay. But one other random buff? Hell yeah. Decreased turn meter. I like, not a bad Begone Fools on a 3-turn cooldown. He has that petrification, which is really strong as well. Against boss, he can neutralize them with decreased speed, decreased attack. And then he has the increased duration of a random debuff with the decreased resistance on his passive. Again, he's kind of like a solid epic instead of a solid legendary. I'll give him a C-. Solus got a buff. An AoE, they buffed his speed a while ago, like 3-4 years ago. They went in, they added a decreased attack and a hex to his A2, removing buffs. He used to have a provoke on both abilities. They removed it there, but they really beefed up his A3. It's a 3-turn increased duration of all debuffs, and then placing a provoke. He has a shield, counterattack on himself as well. Counterattack leads into more stuns with ignore defense if they're under a provoke. Really nice synergy here. Solus is definitely a lot better. That being said, I don't think he's elite personally. I'll give him a A-. All right, sorry about that. My son called to say goodnight, but we're back to Hegemon. Hegemon, man. He suffers big time from Mercurial. Honestly, as sad as it is to say, because I love the era of Hegemon. But hey, AoE block active skills is really strong as an opener. He always goes first each round. But that's about it. Unfortunately, nowadays, really relegated to, you know, I don't know. Unfortunately, he's not what you really want to see coming out of a Void Shard nowadays. We'll go ahead and give Hegemon. It's a tough spot for him. We'll give him a C+, just because when he does work, he works, but it's few and far between with Stone Skin and with Mercurial. For Whirlwind Frost King, they gave him a buff. They added freeze that can't be resisted with the increased defense and a strength. And I don't know, man. I don't hate Whirlwind Frost King. I know everybody else does. But an AoE decreased attack, a decreased accuracy, and a freeze on that A1. Perfect Veil on the ally with lowest HP for 2 turns. Really nice, too. I think he's okay. He's not great. I'm going to give him a B-, which I'm sure is higher than most people would give him. Fortis. I hated what they did with the Fortis buff. He could be one of the coolest champions. He could be so strong with a champion like Lord Entertainer Fabian with that True Fear. He increases the odds of True Fear failing by 15%. So cool. Preventive death, but he doesn't do any damage. With his stars align, he just doesn't do it. He doesn't do the with the Astral Terrors. He doesn't, no, I shouldn't say any damage, just not enough. Not enough. I want to see another buff to Fortis, because right now I think he's a D. Georgia the Breaker. He is one of the more elite, still to this day, to me, he's one of the more elite attack-based damage dealers in the game. He's got the Ignore Stone Skin ability, grant an extra turn. He's got a strong AoE, 30% decreased turn meter, unkillable if you kill an enemy, which he almost always does, and a very hard-hitting Breaker Suite where he can repeat the attack potentially. So strong, man. So strong. 50% chance for this champion to ignore 50% of the target's defense for each hit placed by this champion's skills. Dude, this guy's, he's still a beast. He's still a beast. I'm still scared of him in the arena. I'm more scared of a Georgia than a Ieyasu in the arena. I'm going to give him an A. Carol on the Ringer. Well, remember like 3 hours ago when I was saying how there's technically some champions that can give bigger of a turn meter boost than a 30% on an AoE? Technically, it could be him. If everybody resists freeze, he can get a 40% turn meter boost in the arena, which does give him some viability. That being said, there's not much else to like about this dude. I wish the rest of his kit, especially for a Void Legendary, was a lot better. I'm going to go ahead. He has this AoE on his A1, so like, sure, there's some like, you know, stun set or whatever, but you're looking for more from a Void freaking Legendary, you know? Speed in arena battles, though, with that turn meter boost, if you don't build them with a lot of accuracy, honestly, you could do a lot worse. So niche viability gives him a C+. White King Narcissus, the second big boy HP-based nuker after Taurus, in terms of who changed the game, you know? He is so good, especially against targets under shield, right? He's White Queen Ancora's rather husband, and he's very, very good. That Desecration Blast, you can never leave it unchecked, because you can delete teams with it. It's so strong. I'm gonna give White King Narcissus an A-. Queen of Hearts, S tier. My 6th S tier champion in the entire video. She's my, you know, who I said that Galeas is my most wanted champion. I think Queen of Hearts is actually even over Galeas. The AoE decreased defense on the A1, the buff removal on the A2, the Death Brand, the True Fear, and one of the better ally attacks in the game, second to only Ogryn in my opinion, with this A3. What more do you want? Oh, you want a Hail to the Queen passive where she gets that immediate turn every 10 buffs the enemy team receives? I hate going against this champion. She's so strong, but she's just as viable everywhere in PvE as she is PvP. Thus, the S tier. Queen of Hearts is so good. Boy, do I wish I had her. Pontiff Augustin, I do have. He's a very interesting champion, right? He has a remove buff from all enemies with an ensnare, right? He has an increased accuracy and intercept and a turn meter fill, a very good one, with an extra turn, a great opener from an already fast champion. And he has a cool passive and a good block active skills on his A1 with turn meter steal. There's a lot to like about this guy. Speed in all battles as well. That being said, for me, he's only really good with Volcanoses, with, you know, Sulfurians, basically with Nells, with Burners and Poisoners, because he's meant to be a PvP champion primarily because of the ensnare, because of the intercept on everybody, which is very powerful, very good. The increased accuracy, but he doesn't give the damage stats. So we can't really set up a bomber or a nuker for that matter, right? You need to rely on somebody else to do that or not use him on the team. So he's niche, very good, but not the best. He's also the event dungeon champion. I'm going to give him A-, but good, All right, moving on to the Dwarves, guys. The Dwarves. Trunda, man. She still is the beast in Hydra, isn't she, guys? She still is an elite damage dealer. It feels like it's illegal to give her 23k HP on this strong of a nuker. AoE stun as well. She's haunted by the cooldown. She doesn't have in my opinion, she's not the best champion outside of, you know, wave content in Hydra, but she's the best champion, arguably, or one of, in Hydra and in wave content. So she's tough to judge or to grade. I don't like her in the arena anymore. Back in the day, she was the definition of an arena nuker. We'll give her an A. It's hard not to. Underpriest Brogni, he has the Grow Shield ability. He started the whole thing. He has a lot that he brings to the table, removing buffs from enemies, cleansing, a little cleanse on allies, block debuffs, increase attack, shields he brings as well, reflect a little bit of damage, burn on his A1. He brings a lot. I'm going to give him a, he has fallen off a little bit over the years, but I'm going to give him an A-. I think he's still very good. Herndig has a weaken and a decreased defense. The decreased defense is on AoE. The weaken is single target. He also brings a burn. He brings, it's the AoE has the weaken. Okay, so he has the AoE on the weaken too. My bad. If it's critical, my bad on that. So yeah, I mean, Herndig is a very unique damage dealer in that he brings burn, AoE decreased defense, and AoE weaken, and some really nice damage. No fail saves to keep him alive or anything like that, but good in PvE especially. I'm going to give him a B+. Goffrey, Brassclad, kind of an underrated little defense damage dealer. He can be a very annoying. He's really good on a go second team. He's very good in wave content. He has a stun on an AoE 3-turn cooldown. Very basic A3 as well. Increased defense. Nothing to write home about. But whenever an ally is killed under block damage, he places a stun on them. If an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, it blocks the damage and puts block damage on them. That's really strong. That's on a 4-turn cooldown, but very strong. Godfrey, to me, he's a B. Ogryn the Defiler. Oh, man. Oh, man. I want this guy so unbelievably badly. I think he's one of the best champions to be added in a long time to the game. Non-void, non-mythical, right? Speed in arena battles, the best ally attack in the game, right? An ally attack with increased attack in Shatter. Decrease the cooldown of all ally skills. Get this champion by 1 turn if the target's killed. That's super powerful too. And then his A2 just keeps getting better. AoE buff removal with massive turn meter depletion and a stun on enemies whose turn meter is less than 50%. On a 3-turn cooldown, man, are you kidding me? As if we don't need more, we have more. He has a turn meter fill on his A1, which also relates to his ally attack, right? And cooldown of a random active skill on the target by 2 turns. I mean, man, he is so good. I haven't even talked about his passive. He is so good. He has instant activation on his passive of the A2. I'm going to give him an A+. Mountain King. Got a big buff for the big boy, and I still don't really like him that much. He has the most HP in all of Raid Shadow Legends. He has 2 sources of damage, very nice. Ignore target's defense, very nice. Escalating attack, very nice. But ultimately, you know, I don't know. He still doesn't do it for me, you know? I don't know why, because he has ignore, block damage, which should be very suitable in this meta as well. But for me, he still doesn't have like that massive punch. He does hit hard, don't get me wrong. But he's quite niche. Not awful, but quite niche. I'm going to give him a C+. Beauregard the Elder. To me, one of the worst, if not in the category of the top 5 worst legendaries in the game. My man has an increased speed, increased resistance. Fantastic, but on a 6-turn, book down to a 4. No thank you, right? And then he has a shield and remove 1 buff. That's it, man. Not a fan. I'm going to give him an F. Not a fan at all. Give me like half the epics in the game over Beauregard. Granjar. Also not a fan. He does have an AoE burn, which is nice. 4-turn cooldown, which is not nice. He won't receive damage from burns. They'll heal him. I wish that applied to all allies. He'd be immediately viable like Ashnar is. Situational, but viable. And then he has a crappy A2. He's a Doom Tower hard champion, and he really sucks. D, only because you could use him, and you need to, not need to, but he's very useful in 1 level of Soul Cross in Cursed City. D. Nari the Lucky. AoE decrease accuracy, decrease resistance, and an AoE provoke on a 4-turn cooldown. Counterattack with some buff steal, which is fun to use. That being said, I don't think he's that great. C. Tholin Foulbeard. Holy smokes, this guy is really freaking good. He is really good. He hits hard. AoE weaken on his A1. Grizz extra turn if the weaken was placed on all enemies. That's not that hard either to do, especially in PvE. Insane. Hard hitting A2. Ignore defense, right? He's also decreasing the target's attack. He's like a built-in cruelty. Another hard-hitting A3 where he brings his own increased attack. Second hit, for each critical hit by the first hit, increases the damage on the second hit. Ignores unkillable. Activates Demon Breaker on every 5th skill. Dude, this dude is busted, man. I think this guy's really good. Hilvi. AoE freeze with buff removal on a 3-turn cooldown from a reviver who has a go. If you don't revive, she's fast, she's tanky, and if you don't revive, she got the block damage and increased speed and a 25% turn meter. If no allies revive, she gets the turn meter. My bad. But she gets the block damage, increased speed anyway. Dude, S tier. Hilvi is so unbelievably good. And of course, when Tormund's on the team, forget about it. She's instantly activating everything on this dude. That is how companions should be made. I'm looking at you, Astralon and Countess Lix. You know? Very good. Molly Tankard, an old school reviver who also has an AoE provoke, potentially a 2-turn provoke. I still think she's very useful in areas like Hydra Clan Boss, especially where you need the reviver and you need a provoke too, right? A really nice passive as well. She hasn't, she's lost some of your utility over the years, but this Rowdy Crowd, really cool, right? Fills a turn meter of all allies by 15% when she's hit. Really nice turn meter boost. 25% by a boss. Very good for a Hydra again. Great turn meter there. I'm going to give Molly Tankard, honestly, she's fast, I'm going to give her, she has a burn on the A1. No, I'm sorry. I always think she has a burn. Damage increased if the target's under a burn. That doesn't make any sense to me on a champion that doesn't have burn at all, but whatever. We'll give Molly Tankard, and the books are so reasonable too, right? I mean, not too bad. Only 1 on the passive. I'm going to give her a B+. I think she's actually still really good. Samar Gem Cursed. AoE 2 buff steal. Before Sun Wukong was introduced to the game, this is the best buff steal that we had on the AoE in the game. That being said, he sucks. I am not a fan. D. Kira the Watcher. She's really good if you want to fuse Mikage. Now, she's actually not that bad outside of that. She has increased duration of enemy buffs. She brings in ally protection and increased defense, 3-turn cooldown. Certainly good for progression. I'll give her a B. Newt. Well, Newt with the Blessed Bash and the control on that A1 and the AoE decrease attack and the weaken the counterattack. I don't know. It's either an A+ or an S tier, I've really been reserving all my S tiers for champions that are S tier in both, or like A+ or beyond, in both PvP and PvE. So I'm going to go A+, but in PvE, you can't get much more S tier than Newt. With the Blessed Bash, plus all that control on the A1, makes him viable everywhere, basically, Maybe not like the clan bosses, but come on, man. Newt is still amazing. One of the best fusions of all time in this game. A+++. Admiral Blacktusk. I don't have him, but I really want him. He has an ally attack and a cleanse. That's really strong. An AoE stun. Or actually, excuse me. Is it an AoE if... No, it is single target. My bad. But still, what a cool kit on this dude. Really cool. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you guys, but a lot of good synergy here. He fits the Dwarf faction very, very well. I'm going to give him an A. Oozle of the Jade. I don't have him, but he's kind of an interesting champion, right? He's got an AoE decrease, reduces shields to 0, and plays a decreased defense. He has all this extra turn synergy. He has Ignore Stone Skin if it was used on an extra instant turn, but he also has Ignore Shield Block Damage, Unkillable. He's pretty cool. The knock on him, though, is he doesn't hit like that hard. So it's always a bummer when a damage dealer who should have a lot of potential doesn't really necessarily have it. That being said, still a cool champion, pretty good champion. I'm going to give him a B-. Granite Doorkeep. Well, I'm not sure if the video is live before this video or after this video, but Granite, one of my favorite champions added to the game last year. I think he's so underrated. First of all, he's immune to CC. That's a great start, right? Increases champion's damage inflicted against targets with no buffs on them. Got to keep that in mind when using him, obviously. He has an Ignore Stone Skin ability, right? And he has the big version of Shatter on all allies with increased crit damage. Ignore Unkillable Stone Skin, block damage, and it can deal some good damage. Grants an extra turn if you kill an enemy in a hard-hitting AoE on the A2 with a decreased defense block buffs. Man, I love him in the arena because on his even if he's locked out, on his A1, he's removing a buff on each hit, and he's getting Ignore defense on his A1. Really cool champion. I don't know why people were so meh on this guy. I think he's freaking great. I'm gonna give him an A, especially in this Force Affinity meta. I think he brings enough as a damage dealer. It's even that passive. I'm gonna give him an A. I might be crazy, but I think he's incredible. Tormund got a big buff when Hilby was released. Let's be real. But I'm judging all these champions independent of their companions on the grade. But still, AoE freeze, the passive with the freeze. He was really mitigated by Polymorph, but Polymorph isn't as popular nowadays because of Wand of Submissions, right? So, that being said, I think he's great, especially with Hilvy. But even without Hilvy, I think he has a new spot in the meta. He's not the hardest damage dealer in the game, but given the alacrity of his moves, how often he goes, especially when you have a burner on the team with him, he does enough damage. He does enough damage. He has buff removal on the A2. You're going to build him with accuracy anyway. I'll give Tormund a B+. Acrisia, enemy max HP on every move. Easy to build. Super easy to build, right? Against bosses, she's gonna do, she's gonna do damage based on the target's max HP anyway. It's kind of intuitive, but you don't even need like a lot of attack on her. Great in PvE. She still is to this day, even with the mitigation of enemy max HP. I'll give her an A. Senna, A+, for the same reason that Newt is A+, right? I want to go S, but she's not really an arena champion, but she is S tier in PvE, okay? She's the best turn meter booster in the entire game in longer battles because of the continuous heal that gives that turn meter boost. She's got a great kit. 2 continuous heals with an increased speed. Makes it amazing to put her in 9-piece protection with 3 buffs on 1 skill with a great turn meter boost, an AoE revive, the instant activation of continuous heals on the A1, the speed in all battles, but really it's this turn meter that makes her so good. If you have her, you're probably already using her. You probably already know this, but she's probably the best Chimera champion in the game and one of the best Grim Forest supports in the entire game as well. That's incredible. She is one of the best and most sought-after revivers in all of Raid. Arnorn the Shining is such a unique champion in the game. He doesn't hit that... He hits hard with this Wrath of Hothgrim or whatever the heck. He ignores increased defense, strengthen, and shield, which is very nice. But it's this passive that makes him such a deadly threat. I think he's very good. He's like, I think he's an A champion, not A+, but man, prevents this champion's death, keeps him alive with 1 HP and a stone skin on him. If you have Lasting Gifts Mastery too, you can get a 2-turn stone skin on this dude, and then he instantly activates that A3 and doesn't put it on cooldown. Increases champion's attack by 5% for each active buff on the enemy team. So he shines when the enemies have a lot of buffs as well. He can delete teams. He's a threat, but he's pretty niche too. So I'll give him like an A-. All right, Shadowkin. Jintoro. I don't know. Jintoro can smack. He has a steel turn meter, decreased defense, and weaken. That being said, he's just all right. He's just all right. It is nice to have that Rosin Scarhide, the single target, decreased defense, and weaken. But will attack 5 times instead of 1 on every 4 skill. That can absolutely just deal massive damage. But he's a PvE only champion, and he's not really good for AoE content, so he's really boss only champion. So that does restrict him a little bit. I'll give Jintoro a B-, C+. Lady Kimmy. Lady Kimmy was all the rage. She's very fast. She's a very cool champion. She has one of those opposite skills, like we talked about with Great Hoof Laracia, earlier. where she removes a buff from each enemy, block buffs, and an increased accuracy, increased speed on a 4-turn. Then on a 3-turn, she has a decreased accuracy, decreased speed, decreased turn meter, right? So really nice synergy in her kit. She can still be a viable turn meter booster in the arena, although she's not meta anymore. Greater options or better options have emerged in the end game, but she's still kind of a jack of all trades. You can use her like kind of anywhere in PvE and in PvP. I'm going to give her an A. Ninja. Well, he's got that Hailburn. Is he an event champion? I didn't know he's considered an event champion. I guess all the freebies are, right? AoE freeze, and still one of the best boss killers. Ninja's so good that you can use him against AoE content like Hydra, and he still can outdamage a lot of AoE specialists. Decreased defense on the A1 too. I think Ninja's an A+ still to this day. You know? It's weird. Some of these new champions are always sought after that are added to the game, and everybody's like, I got to get my hands on this champion or that champion. But sometimes Ninja just gets the job done still, you know, like better than them. A+. Mishinaki. AoE decreased defense, decreased attack, buff removal, and hex. He has a chance of joining into attacks and an HP burn on his A1. He does bring a lot to the table. I really like him. I'm going to give him an A-. He's a little bit niche, more of a Hydra champion, wave content, faction war niche area, but there's a lot of wave content in the game nowadays with Grim Forest 2 being added, so that's not a slight, but anyway, Zenogre, Blade Master, she's kind of a cool champion. Increased speed on a 3-turn cooldown, quad hit, trip hit, weaken, leech, decrease attack, increase attack. She brings so much in the preemptive death. PvE only, though, a little niche, but good. We'll give her a B-. Maybe a B. Tatsuya the Deliverer. He is the Unity. I don't have him, but golly, I kind of want this guy. He looks really cool. He has the extra hit, the ignore defense, I think. Ignore percentage of the target's defense equal to the target's turn meter. Very cool. Resets the cooldown of the skill if the target's killed. Then he has the 100% target's turn meter in place of True Fear. True Fear can't be resisted or blocked. Increase the champion, the damage. Will attack all of the enemies with more than 50% turn meter. I don't know. Now that I'm reading it, fills the champion's turn meter 50% whenever the champion takes his turn. 20% more effective. I like the more effective turn meters. And then, I don't know. When I read the whole kit, I thought he was a little bit better in my head. Not that he's trash. He's not. But I'm going to go, like, he's a PvE only champion. And then it's like, okay, how many Shadowkin do I want to stack on the team? So, like, all unities are beasts in Faction Wars. You know, all of them are. But beyond that, I don't know. If you have him, you let me know. But he doesn't wow me. I'm going to give him, he doesn't suck, but I'm going to give him a B. Harima. Well, she's got that nasty passive. Enemy ignored effects are decreased by 50%. The AoE provoke, the triple hitter, the built-in cruelty, the instant activation of the A3 if you kill an enemy. Very good champ. Very good champion. Very, very good with that passive, though. She just has to kind of sit there. She makes her team so much tankier in the arena, but she's also very viable outside the arena. And she has that dual, you know, that you know, you can use her anywhere type champion, right? Especially with that provoke for PvE content as well. I'm going to give her a, she has fallen off a little bit from endgame meta, but not everybody's endgame. I'm going to give Harima an A. Strong A. Yoshi the Drunkard, the first Shadowkin added to the game, and honestly, he's not that great. He's got speed, he's got increased attack, increased accuracy, which is the perfect setup for bomb champions. But he's too slow and no turn meter boost, right? He's got a decreased accuracy and a burn. He's got a stun on the A1. Hasn't aged well, Yoshi. I'd love to see a buff. All they have to do is add some turn meter here, or give him a speed bump, and he has a lot of viability. But, you know, I'm going to give him, unfortunately, a D+. He's not that great. Noble, everybody hates, but not me. Noble is not the best champion in the game. But, man, in wave content, with all the turn meter steal in the turn meter fill, I mean, he's like the Energizer Bunny. He does so much more damage than anybody gives him credit for. Granted, it's niche. It's wave content. That's about the only area he's going to help you out in. But, man, he's good at it, you know? He's tough to grade. I'm higher than anybody else is on Noble. I'm going to give him a C+, which I feel like is a fair grade for him now after his buffs. Tatsu, I'm not a fan of. AoE, decreased resistance and sleep, and a 2-time hitter. I mean, there's not even anything here worth talking about to me. Immune to sleep, yay. If there's like some super OP sleep boss that comes into the game at some point, maybe I'll revisit. But for now, her best utility, of course, is to fuse Mikage. I'm going to give her a D-. Yukimasa, Demon of Ice. I actually think Yukimasa is really good. And AoE block damage. It doesn't hit that hard, but the fact that we're placing freeze on a 3-turn cooldown and we ignore block damage in a block damage heavy meta, can't be resisted if there's one enemy with a CC, and the conditional revive, all he has to do is not kill an enemy. It will revive everybody if he does kill an enemy, but basically you just got to take a turn. It's not that bad of a revive condition, kind of like Lazarius. You just got to take a turn. Well, take a turn and use this skill, right? So not just like Lazarius, but you guys get the point. I think the Steel Turn Meter, I think he's really good, but not great. I'm going to give him a B+. Genzin. Man, Genzin, like just the way he attacks the animations, just jumps in there. Like, he's so fast. He is like one of the coolest champions to watch attack, right? And he's got kind of a little bit of a Noble vibe going on. He's fast, turn meter fill all over the place, kind of like Energizer Bunny vibe going on. I'm going to give him a B. Kyoku. Great ally protector still to this day. Ally protection with block damage for 3 turns with the extra turn. She's so annoying to deal with, you know? That being said, she's not really that widely used anymore outside of, you know, progression in PvE, even endgame in PvE and wave content. She's very, very good. Good at keeping your team alive. Even a very good passive. Every time this champion is hit with a critical hit, it heals all allies and plays an increased defense on them, right? There's a lot to like about Kyoku. She really is a great traditional support champion in this game, even though she's technically defense. I'm going to give her an A-. I think she's actually still good. Just not, you know, not the best. Gameran. I love Gameran. I think they did a great buff on this dude. He's got revives all over his passive. Every time an ally or an enemy is killed, right? He's reviving somebody. Every time he plays a block revive, he's the only champion in the game that can place a block revive after somebody's already dead. And he's also one of the only champions that has a full buff steal and a full buff. I think he's the only who has the full buff steal and the full buff spread. That's nasty too. You open up, you steal everything, and then you spread the love. What a generous fella, Gameran. He has a block active skills on his A1 as well. I think Gameran's very good, underrated, albeit not meta. I give him a... He's more of an arena champion, to be fair. I'm going to give him a B+. Karato Fox Hunter is Yameko's companion champion. He can do a 2-turn stun. He has an AoE block active skills. He is very redundant, so I don't see a reason to ever play them together. They're both locking out in, you know, I guess if you want to like triple down on the lockouts, sure. His damage is pretty good, but, you know, it's just, I don't know. I think he's lacking ignore defense, lacking a little bit extra damage to make him really viable anywhere, value over replacement. I think he's just all right, honestly. I'll give him a C. Arashi the Riptide, ignore Stone Skin champion. Ignore Stone Skin, but not a lot of damage. HP-based ignore Stone Skin, but he's no Granite Doorkeep. AoE Perfect Veil, increased crit damage, which can make him like really a pain to kill. But I have him. I tested him out. I wasn't blown away. I'm sadly going to have to give an A-. Ishiyama the Immovable. We thought he was going to be Taurus, another HP-based damage dealer, but he's no Taurus. He doesn't hit that hard. He can be respectable in some situations, but I'm not a huge fan, but I'm also not a hater. I give him a C+. Rio Bone Spear. Oh, Rio's A+. A++. A beautiful cleanse with a block debuffs and a big heal. I mean, come on. What more do you want from a champion? Oh, you want them to just, when receiving any debuffs, just return them to the attacker on a 3-turn? Oh, okay. What more do you want? Oh, you want every debuff known to man, which makes her, on a 3-turn cooldown, which makes her perfect for debuffing any boss. Also, absolutely beautiful. And a 9-piece feral set to get that extra damage. Tons of extra damage. I think that Rio is amazing. She's everything a support cleanser ought to be. A+. Jingwan. Oh, man. Who isn't annoyed by Jingwan's passive in that damn second wave of Faction Wars hard? I know I am. Oh, man. He's actually good now. He's actually good. Finally. He was the joke of Raid Shadow Legends for years and years and years and years. But he's immune to CC. He removes them, places a block debuffs once every 4 turns on all allies. An AoE, decrease accuracy, decrease crit damage, strengthen, removes all buffs from all enemies. And an AoE, block active skills and a block buffs, increase the duration of all debuffs on all enemies. He brings a lot to the frickin' table, man. He really does. And he has Doom Exchange on his A1. Transfers all debuffs from this champion to the target. That can be nasty in situations like Dragon. Throw all those poisons right back on the Dragon, right? I think Jingwan is a solid B+. Yumeko. She has the Dance of Time, man. And Destiny's Mirror is really cool. You can like bounce back like bombs right back to him. Really cool there. A little churn meter on the A1. But really the Dance of Time, right? It's great because it allows a lot of flexibility on Yumeko. You can build her high resist to counter like a Fabian. You can use her to reset your Seers and your Poisoners. You can use her to lock out the enemy team like a Warlord type move. Not as powerful, but all in one skill. Makes her very unique. A+. Jinro, the Stork. The big nose fella. The longest nose in Raid Shadow Legends. Cut to Corvus the Corruptor, who's really upset right now. He thought he had the big nose. But that's about all he's got for him, guys. He's a Doom Tower champion, so he sucks. Now, he has a 2-turn stun that ignores block debuffs, which is cool, but not cool enough to be a Void freaking legendary. I'll tell you that much. Kind of a cool passive, but not cool enough to be a Void legendary. Unfortunately, he's a D+, because I do have a little respect for him. Cool synergy between the counterattack and the cooldowns, but not nearly enough. Shuzan the Valorous, the best turn meter booster, I guess, technically in the game, with an instant frickin' turn. Because of that, she's viable in PvE and PvP, because anybody on your team can move at the speed of Shuzan, who's very fast. 110 base speed. She has some turn meter. She has a great Lysandra-esque energize ability. Not as much turn meter, but she also brings a decreased speed there. Very nice. She gets extra accuracy based on her speed. She has lockout on her A1. Very good for the arena. She has arena aura. Shuzan's an A+. Ieyasu. Good damage, even in areas like Hydra Clan Boss, with this extra damage that comes from his passive. But he also ignores Stone Skin and 50% of the target's defense on a 2-time hitter with shield and strengthen. I mean, you got to be careful. He's a delete button. Like I said, he doesn't scare me quite as much as a Georgid, but that's not a knock because Georgid's amazing. So I think Ieyasu is like right a notch below him in that category for me at least. But a lot of viability in PvE as well. I'm going to give him an A. Leonardo. Man, Leonardo, what can I say about Leonardo that hasn't been said, right? He's got these turtles together. It smacks like a mofo. It's insane. He's got the increased defense, the unkillable, a lot of damage. But here's the deal for the video, right? You guys already know it. I've said it 100 times. I'm not judging them. I'm judging every champion independently. Listen, when Leo's with all the turtles, he's S tier. Obviously. But all by himself, he needs at least Donnie, right? All by himself, though, I think he's A, right? Like, he's very good still, but not as elite with all the turtles. He still is one of the coolest champions added to the game. I like that they made Leonardo the best turtle, you know? It just like, he's the leader and everything. Man, I'll just never forget those days, like it was years ago. But I'll never forget the days where everybody's like, "When is the Leo event?" Blah 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 blah. You know. But man, he smacks. Such a cool kit, such a cool champion. Stone Skin. Make sure that you go lasting gifts on him for a mastery to extend the Stone Skin. Very good champion. Shredder. Shredder is a polarizing turtle champion. I think that Shredder is pretty solid. Honestly, he's grown on me a little bit. He actually hits kind of hard in the arena. You got to be careful of him, you know? Steals all buffs from a single enemy, which is kind of cool, too. He's tough to kill, right? He has some ignore defense there. This ability, this is true ninjutsu, can actually, I won't lie. Someone used this on me in live arena. like high live arena. And I kind of scoffed that they drafted Shredder. And this, I ended up winning the battle. I uploaded this video, I think, to my second channel. But I digress. But it hit so hard, and I was like, wow, dude, that's pretty crazy. If he's under a Veil or Perfect Veil, it grows 30% defense, and he has it in his passive, right? And he's tough to kill with the evasion. Kind of a little bit of a Predator vibe going on with the evasion, at least on the passive. I'm going to give Shredder a B. I think that's a lot higher than most players would rank him. But he's grown on me. Elva, A+. Elva's very good. She's got the heals, she's got the perfect veil, she's got a good revive, 3-turn cooldown, and she's got the cleanse, the block debuffs, and the increased speed. Having a cleanse, block debuffs, increased speed on 1 3-turn cooldown is very unique and very, very good. And then having the revival and the heals on the passive, and the good base stats, really fast, speed in all battles. I just think she's very, very good. PvE mainly, but very good in all situations of PvE. She brings a lot to the table. King Galkabar. Man, I like this dude, but I don't love this dude. He's one of these champions that feels like he should be way better than he is. He has one of these moves where he removes all buffs and places poisons for each buffs and a block debuffs on enemies, and then cleanses your allies and places a continuous heal for each cleanse. So against Dragon, if you cleanse like 8 poisons, you've got 8 continuous heals on your team, right? That being said, he's good base stats. I like him, but I don't really use him. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Maybe someday he'll have some viability in the game. Like, I feel like it's just kind of a situational thing with him to a certain extent. Anyway, I'll give King Galkabar it'd almost be like, he almost needs a buff, even though he's kind of good, you know? Like, maybe if 3 or more buffs were removed, then instantly activates all poisons, something like that. Like, just make him a little bit bigger of a threat. Until then, I think he's kind of a B-. I think that he's cool, but just not quite there. Oella has turned meta, you know? All 10 of the shell sucks, but she's good. Increased duration of buffs with a big heal and a cleanse, a term meter fill and increased resistance. She's very good with a decreased speed too. She's very good in areas like Chimera. She's very good on Wixwell or on Titus teams, right, with the buff extension. And she serves a very valuable part of any team as a support champion. I'm going to give her an A-. Callowite, the Ash Arrow, not a fan. Even despite the name. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, buddy. But I'm not a fan of this dude. I get what they're trying to do with him, but for me, and I've mentioned this before, and some people in the comments, they differ in opinion here, but not me. I don't think he's that good, honestly. I just don't think he hits hard enough. That's my opinion. And yeah, that's about it. I'll give him a C. All right, we have a brand new champion, ladies and gentlemen. It's Vesteel Riverthorn. So she's a very interesting new champion. She's an attack-based champion. Before attacking, 50% chance of removing all buffs from the target. 100% to steal all buffs from instead by this skill if it's used not on this champion's turn. Cannot be resisted whose target's attack is equal to or lower than this champion's. That's a really busted Raging River A1. Erosive Force is the A2, 4-turn cooldown, increase attack, shatter buff on this champion, ignores block damage and stone skin. There's an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. If the target survives, fills the turn meter of all allies by 30% instead. That's an insanely good ability. Meltwater Flood is an AoE. By the way, her base attack is 1729. Attacks all enemies before attacking, places a weaken on all enemies. Can't be resisted whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's. That's like everybody, right? Ignore 25% of dark defense. Extra hit on enemies whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's. And then unkillable counterattack on this champion for 2 turns, thus getting more out of her A1. 50% chance to deal 100% more damage against enemies whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's. The crazy thing is her multipliers are not that good, but because of all the extra damage, and all she has to do is have higher attack, and her attack is so high, I think she's incredibly powerful. I don't have her. I used her on the dev build, but I don't have her. So I'm going to give, she's tough to grade. I'm going to go ahead and give her an A, but she might be way better. Green Warden Ruark has the taunt, the increased defense, and the strength, and all on himself, that selfish son of a jackal. An AoE decrease, accuracy, steal continuous heals. I don't like Grand Warden Ruark. I think that Strategos, I think that, no, not him. What's his name? Ambassador Lethalin and Dudik the Runin, and who's the other taunter who I love? Khafru the Deathkeeper. All those epics are better than Green Warden. D, I'm not a fan. Saoirse the Shard, I'm not a fan. A burn on 3-turn cooldown. You get her by spending a lot of money in the game. AoE decreased speed. I don't know. She's not awful. Increase in duration on the A1 as well. She's not awful, but I don't think she's great. I think she's like, you know, there's so many better burners than her in my opinion. I'll give her a C-. Estrid Dreamsong, fastest champion in the game. 15-way tie or whatever. I love Estrid. Speed in arena battles. She's good in the arena. She's good everywhere. She got great heals. She got an extra turn mechanic, increased speed, increased turn meter, increased attack, decreased turn meter, decreased speed, and a weaken on all enemies. And then she has a sleep on the A1. Man, I think Estrid is A+. I think she's that good. I use Estrid. I wish I had a couple copies of Estrid. I would use her on all my Hydra teams. I think she's like a motor. She brings so much that's essential to your team. All in one champion. Heals, essential buffs and debuffs. So fast. I love Estrid. Glaciate of the Meltwater. Man, my man is a really good reviver. And a really, really good reviver. You can use this ability even if nobody was revived. If somebody was revived, you get an extra turn. Fantastic. It's a 4-turn cooldown AoE revive, albeit 25% turn meter, 40% HP. That's the only knock on him, but he does have an increased attack, turn meter fill, and a perfect veil. He has a good passive as well. Damage escalating, really good base speed, speed in all battles. I really like this guy. I like him better than Duchess in PvE. I like Duchess a little bit better than him in PvP. I'm going to give him an A+. Lemnisci the Goldwing. Lemnisci was an interesting freebie champion, right? Part of the Chaos Awakes campaign back in summer of 2025. Everybody hated on her at first, but there has been some viability. She can solo some content. I feel like she's a really good champion for accounts that get her early on in their raid journey or even midway through their raid journey. Heck, even in endgame, you can certainly use her. I like the hero reduction that she brings to the table. It's nice to have that, especially against Amish. She's very, very good there. So overall, I think she's a solid champion. I'm going to give her a B. Lady of Irith, she got a pretty good buff. She has a strength and continuous heal and a decreased duration of all cooldown on ally skills by 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown. Very respectable, pretty solid. Her A2 is all right. It's only a target ally, but there is some surplus heal going on there. She has an instant activate continuous heals. She has a little shield on that passive too. Good base stats. She's good, but not great. Better in longer battles when you just have a spot to fill on your team, you know, or like to get more out of like a Trunda team or something like that, right? In Hydra. So I'm gonna give her a B-. I still think she's fairly niche. Feral the Darkhorn. Ah, man. Feral is the ultimate damage escalator, right? You see him a lot with Shuzen teams and Bad Alcazars to just get as much damage from your damage dealer like a Siegfried or something as possible. But he's very, very good. Allies under 4 more buffs increase their damage by 20%. In longer battles, that's insanely good. Hydra, Chimera especially. Or, you know, it doesn't have to be longer battles, right? It can be any time that you're able to load up buffs. You'll get more damage from your damage dealers. Increased resistance, perfect veil, a decreased accuracy, block buffs, and a decreased speed. 100% on the A1. A+. Very, very good in PvE. Grand Oak Podrick. Man, another freaking A+. Grand Oak is very good. He brings everything that everybody needs in terms of damage buffs or accuracy buffs on his passive or shield on HP. He has a turn meter fill, 20%, a cleanse and increased speed, and ally attack and cooldowns on his A1. Come on, man. Speed and done is by 25%. Great base speed. Grand Oak A+. Easy. He's very good. Blade Chorister Kaldor. He's the Unity, and of course, I don't have him. The cool thing about this guy is he has remove buff from all enemies if the initial target is killed. I forget it was predicated on his kill. The cool thing about him is he does a lot of damage. He has all this continuous heal synergy in his kit. He's very interesting. As I said, I don't have him, but I've seen him just like rip out some serious damage. I'm going to give him an A. All right. Balar the Lost. Balar the Lost. He was from the Chaos Awakes campaign? I don't remember him being part of the campaign. Either way, though, he looks so cool, I think, and he is so good. He's got a leech, instant activation of poisons, an increased accuracy on everybody, decreased resistance on all enemies. That combo on the same skill is very, very powerful. 3 poisons on the initial target, 3 poisons on all targets instead, as long as it's critical. He is a very, very scary activator. Poison sensitivity on his A1 as well. He's one of my favorites, honestly. I'm going to give him an A. Allele. Man, Allele is, I mean, he's not even underrated at this point because everybody knows he's good, you know? He has that Ignore Stone Skin ability. He has the Steel that can't be resisted on his first hit on the target. So strong. The Chill Wind of Autumn, where you convert the good to the bad, excuse me. Can't be resisted. Don't even need accuracy at all in his kit. And then you get that beautiful, fills his champion's turn meter by 10% whenever they receive a buff. You can build them with attack percentage on those boots. If you have a Necrit or something like that, forget about it, you know. But you just need to buff in front of him and give him survivability in the meantime, and he can smack. It makes up for the fact that his damage isn't elite on that A2, that you can build him with attack percentage on the boost and just lean into damage. A. Claydna got a big buff, actually, and I liked it. Got 100% sleep on the A1, good for Sand Devil. Good for Sand Devil. She has an AoE decreased speed. In a leech, right? Restores 100% of the allies' destroyed HP and a heal. Really nice move there. And then she has a cleanse, a block debuffs, and a revive on death. She didn't used to have the cleanse. They added the cleanse to that. They give her a lot of extra utility. I still don't think she's the strongest void legendary in the game, but they even reworked her passive. A 50% chance, excuse me, 60% chance of completely blocking the incoming damage the first hit of an attack on a random ally. It used to be just her, I believe, right? So I think they did a good job on her. I think she's a B+. Emic Trunkar, I don't have him. I didn't go for that fusion back in the day, but I kind of wish I did. Unkillable with a taunt. Like, he's everything that Warden Runark or whatever the heck isn't, right? The decreased cooldown of ally skills. It's like a Lady of Irith, but adding so much more. He is kind of niche still, right? But he's good at what he does, and he fits into so many different comps. I'm gonna give Emic a B+. Inceska Grail Bearer, AoE on the A1, decrease attack. The ally with the highest crit damage joins that attack. She's the only champion in the game with Poison Cloud, increased speed, continuous heal. Very strong because she has a 50% turn meter fill. And then she has a 3-turn Void Affinity, decreased defense, weaken, ignore block debuffs. Very solid. And then increases champion's accuracy by 10 for each buff on each enemy. Whenever an enemy receives a buff, she decreases their turn meter. She has a lot to love about her kit. She's very underrated, very, very good. I give her an A. All right, Arathia Corpse Flower. Man, I have her, and boy, no damage at all out of this girl. No damage. So that really neuters her. Or spade? Is it spade or neuter? Increased accuracy, death brand. I mean, there's a lot to like about her kit, hex and stuff like that. But when it comes with no damage on a damage dealer, that's tough for a Void Legendary. Unfortunately, I am going to go ahead and give her a D+. Naime, Spear of Nyresa, S tier. S tier. Massive heals, block debuffs, ally protection, 3-turn cooldown, massive shield potentially on the A2. Can neutralize attackers in the arena with the A1, decrease crit rate, decrease attack. Can't be, or has a 75% chance that it can't be resisted or blocked. Okay. And then, of course, her claim to fame. Block damage. Everybody runs her a 9-piece protection. Block damage at the start of the round. And each time this champion's HP drops below 50%. She's so hard to deal with in the arena. And she's so good. Even in PvE. When I was going through the event dungeon, for example, and I just wanted to kind of see how far I could cheese my way, I got almost to the final, I think I got to the final stage with no thought, just with her blocking all the damage. She's a little cheat code. S tier. 7th S tier champion, I think, of the video. Could it be 8? Could it be 8 with Cassandra? Well, guys, I made it. My voice is almost gone. I started this video at like 3 o'clock and it's almost 9 o'clock because I took some breaks that were edited out too. Had to call my son and stuff. And we made it through. Hey, if anybody watched this in one sitting, thank you so freaking much. Like, so that very generous to spend so much time with yours truly, and it does mean a lot. But we do have one more champion, the only Argonite in the game at the time of this recording, and it's Cassandra. Cassandra's a very interesting champion, very unique champion. She has the increased attack, the shatter, the increased speed, preventing death as well if they're under those buffs, obviously. She's kind of polarizing, right? And I think the truth is, I mean, well, the truth is whatever you think it is on your account, right? But she's very unique. She brings a good profile, you know, of debuffs and whatnot. But I think she's kind of in the B territory, maybe B minus, meaning that she's a little bit above average. You can get utility out of her, but she's not going to make or break your account. I went for her just because I wanted an Argonite. I wanted the first one because I'm a collector. I'm playing a hero collector game. And also, I think that she will help in faction wars. But I'd be lying if I said that I use her at all. What about you guys if you went for her? What are your thoughts on Cassandra? I think B minus is a pretty fair score. All right, guys, there it is. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Again, even if it took you 15 sittings, I really appreciate it. Much love. And as always, take care, guys.